Jesus Christ, you people suck.
Wow.
Wolverine on it.
Back in the days when we played video games, it was hardcore for the nerdy and lazy. Now things have changed and all our video games are also for the casual and lady.
But that's okay, you know the score. We told you a million times before. Playing consoles, not just games, is in the past. And every week you listen to the best damn internet radio crew. It's the N4G podcast. It's the N4G podcast.
Alright, it's time for another week of N4G Radio. This is episode 706 for July 18th, 2022. And on the show this week we have Anthony,
Hello.
we got the Wombat,
Wow.
and returning we have Jay. What's up?
Buongiorno.
There it is. There it is. Whew. Alright. I thought this was going to be a fuller house, starring Candace Cameron, but, you know, Terrence and Drew apparently didn't show up, so. Whatever.
Oh, has Terrence been on the show?
Yeah, we got him on the show. Anthony was like, we gotta get him on the show because he's the one reviewing all the video games. So.
That checks out, yes.
But, he's not here this week. I know he's moving.
Yeah, he's moving. He said he'd be back
not
next
he.
week.
Yeah.
So he gave us actually a time frame. He's like, I'll be back the weekend of. And it's like, wow, that is very specific.
I know, right? Like, you guys tell me when you're going to give me reviews, and it's always never that day. And then Terrence tells me he's going to give me a review, and it shows up. I'm like, holy shit, what happened?
What is that? Why is he making us look bad like that? I gotta talk to him about that, okay?
Dude, he makes
That's
me
some
look
bullshit.
bad. I'm like, I'm going to do this review on Monday, and then I don't do it. So, you know, whatever.
Yeah, there'll be some of that this podcast even of you said you were going to do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know, the PR guy asked me. That's why I asked you. I was like,
I know,
gotta
but
tell him something.
I'll explain what happened when we get into it. But yeah, it's just like I want to give that game my full attention as well. It seems like a game where I'm not going to be able to fully grasp it and give it a good review if I don't spend my whole time on it. So I also wanted to give my full attention to the other game I was playing. So
Well, you know, you can kick us off and we can talk about video games because that's what this show
all
is
right,
all
so
about.
like in my spare before I go to bed, I need some just a puzzle game to make me tired, I guess. I've just been playing some of the extra puzzles in one of the Professor Layton games, the last one, Layton's Mystery Journey or whatever. It was all the daily puzzles you could download. I've just been going through those randomly and playing a couple of those at night. The only thing I've really played this week is Phobia because I wanted to get it done for review, and I have finished it. And as of this moment, not that I've played a lot of games this year, from this year, I should say, it's my game of the year.
Ooh.
Phobia
I'm
with
not-
an F, right?
Yes, Phobia
Okay.
with an F. And I'm not going to tell you it's the best horror game ever. I'm not going to tell you it's the most polished game. I had some more technical issues towards the later portions of the game. I won't say what happens because I don't want to spoil it.
Well, didn't we talk about this before? Like, isn't this their first game?
As far as I know, this is the studio's first game. Now there is a small Easter egg in one of the rooms when you turn on the night vision camera that allows you to see through time. I think one of the developers, like part of the team, worked on a game called Raku Adventures because it is literally the Raku Adventures character, or Raku Ventures, sorry. Which is made by a Diego Ras, and I don't know if Diego is part of the team, but that was like a 3D platformer, and I recognized the very stylized raccoon character, and it was like a doll in a crib. I was like really impressed by how well done this game was. So it's a horror game, played in first person. I know I've gone over it before, but Jay's here, and I don't know what Jay knows about the game. So
I know nothing, and I'm Googling it now, and that box art, well, quote-unquote box art, is not doing that game any favors. It looks so generic.
So the box art is... She's a recurring character. The girl in the gas mask.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to tell you right now, there's like 3 enemy types. I guess really only 2 enemy types and a couple bosses. And, is it the scariest game ever? No. But they know how to instill the fear, I guess. They have a chaser who ends up being a boss. I'm going to tell you right now, it goes through the Resident Evil steps. It's not pretending it's the only horror game in existence. It understands that, like, hey, this is a horror game in a world filled with horror games, and we're going to pay tribute to Resident Evil most heavily, and a little bit of Silent Hill. It does play with your mind at times. There's a couple of well done, like, I've heard them described as gags in like, I see a character at the end of a hallway, I have to step around something to make my way towards them, and the moment my eyes leave and I look back, they're gone. And it's like, there's little tricks, like, audio-wise, too. I did not play this with headphones, no thank you. But I was just impressed by the fact that, so the main area is a hotel. And it tells you before you leave the hotel, like, fully, that, like, hey, you can't come back from this point to the hotel. So if you want to do more exploration. I left, I should have stayed, but, like, I started to know that hotel by, like, the back of my hand, because I had to go through it so many times. And they'll sort of change how you get through it as well. Like, oh, well, something happened, so now you can't go through this hallway, so you have to actually take the elevator to get around it to the other side, which puts you every time you make a step forward in the story, they do add some more enemies to the hotel in places that you already think are safe, just to keep you on edge. I was really impressed by the puzzles, to the point where there are mandatory puzzle solving area, of course, because, it's trying to be like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. There are optional puzzles, and I only got like 23% of them. Now, I know that I saw some that I could not figure out. That's fine. But I thought there was very few that I was like, I don't know how. There's one with a filing cabinet. There's letters in the filing cabinet, and I do not know what I was supposed to do with all the drawers to open them in a specific way to, like, get this one thing to open. I don't know how that puzzle was done, but there was a couple where it's like, here's a safe. I don't know what to do with this safe. Maybe I'll come back to it. Never mind, it's not worth my time. It was probably just bullets or like an extra storage slot or something. But, like, man, 23%? Like, that's so low. And I know I had pieces like
What do you get out of doing these optional puzzles? Is it just more ammo and
more
stuff?
ammo, more med kits? Sometimes it's some more lore. Sometimes there's this weird upgrading system, and you get these, like, glowing orbs, and you can level up your equipment. So with the night vision camera, it requires a lot, but you can upgrade how far the night vision can see, which helps in, like, certain rooms. So you don't have to walk up to everything, like, and look at it directly. It also helps to see if there's an enemy in the room, because you have a flashlight, but the flashlight's not great. It's not terrible. It's not the worst flashlight ever, but it's just like the night vision does work slightly better. The problem is you can't have a gun out when you have the camera up to your face. So you can upgrade that. The pistol, which is the main weapon, which they give you a lot of ammo for, it just doesn't do a lot of damage because there's no melee weapon. That's your primary weapon. So they just kind of shovel handgun ammo towards you, but your shotgun's more powerful and they don't give you a lot of those. There's a machine gun. They don't give you a lot of that ammo either because you chew through it really quick. but you can upgrade the guns. So like I have better precision with the pistol. I can hold more in a clip. I don't remember what the third one is for that. There's like 3 for every weapon. So like the shotgun, it closes the spread of the shotgun. It does more damage, and you can reload faster because it's just it's a double barrel, so you only have 2 shots with it. And then the machine gun, it's like faster fire rate, faster reload, better accuracy.
When I look at this game, right, like I see a game that looks generic as hell, and there are hundreds of these first-person pseudo-survival horror-looking games that pop up on Steam all the time. So what sets this one apart from the other, let's say, shovelware levels of garbage?
So in a lot of those, it's like just run and hide. And that is not what this game is. This game is trying to be Resident Evil to the point where they understood that like they want you to explore and not feel like at every moment they're just fucking with you. They're going to do that, but it's going to be at key moments. So say I haven't figured out a puzzle yet. They're not just going to keep and want to move the story forward. They're not just going to keep throwing enemies at me. They want me to feel safe. This is the exploration time. I have now cleared out this room. Now I'm going to look around and figure out, and when I say look around, I mean there's rooms where like you just open a bunch of drawers. Some of them have nothing in them. Some of them have ammo. Some of them have notes. And like you actually have to read the notes to know what to do at times. They're like, one of them is like, hey, look, everybody, we've changed the passwords for the locks, but you need the key card to actually even use it. And they're like, yeah, on the 5th floor it's this. So you need to know, because it's not when you go to that little key card slot, it's not going to tell you what floor you're on. You just have to remember what floor it is. There's a chess puzzle in this game, and at no point do they outright tell you what the solution is. You already have to do something with it. Like it's missing a piece, and you put the piece down, and a drawer opens up, and it's like, here's the thing that you're looking for. And you go, okay, cool, I have the key item from it. Then it's like, oh, wait, you can also kind of play chess, but you'll make a move, and then it'll reset the board because you did the wrong move. Okay, cool. Later on, there is you will find a chessboard. There's multiple chessboards, but there's a specific one that is clearly set up, and you have to use what you see on that chessboard. They're not related. They're not like, oh, the room right next to it. It is like a room somewhere else in the hotel, and you find it, and you go back, and you get something. You get like an upgrade, and when I say an upgrade point, you get like 5 or something out of that for solving that puzzle. And it's completely optional. So not only is the puzzle solving good, the combat's okay. I'm not going to tell you like this is the best combat game. But then you'll be like, oh, I'm going through the main storyline, and then it'll be like, oh, and the chaser's here, and you'll realize, oh, I have a machine gun now, I'm going to shoot at him, and he ducks down on a knee, but then he gets back up again. You're like, oh, I only stalled him, I'm screwed. And so you are like trying to frantically run through, and you have to remember the way you came, and they just sort of set you through a labyrinth because the hotel is falling apart. So to know where to go, and like they know how to like, there's an elevator that goes up and down in the hotel. There's no loading screen on that elevator. It's happening in real time. So I'm up on the 6th floor. The chaser starts to come, and he is in the way of the elevator. I have to go down a back way or something. And when I get to the elevator, I press it. Well, it has to come to me. And I'm watching him come down the stairs slowly, and he's gonna kill me. And so I'm hitting the elevator button, and I'm waiting for it to come down. And it's like they have clearly played horror games and understand the best elements of them. And I find that a lot of horror games just either want to be mean, or they're kind of like, I really just kind of want to be a survival game, which this game isn't. They have their version of the herbs. So they have like it's not the green herb.
The spices?
It's not the green and the red. You have a cloth and some medical tape, and it makes a bandage so you can heal. And then if you add alcohol, it makes a med kit. Like, neat stuff like that. It's got that old RE sort of system of the grid with all the items, and some items are too wide and stuff. But it was the puzzles that got me more than anything. Like, the horror is because, like, Resident Evil had really good puzzles, but they didn't have a lot of them. This game's like, no, we want a lot of the puzzles, and the horror is going to be the backdrop. And they do that aspect really well. But, like, I think they made a great puzzle game that has the perfect amount of combat to not feel like I'm now just in a shooter where the lights are out. And they earned some of the scares. Like, I'll be walking through and I'll be hearing the one of the enemies like crawling around, and it'll jump out and scare the shit out of me. But they gave me the heads up that the enemies are there before they just decided to jump scare me. Like, they never outright jump scare you in this game without giving you some indication of what's about to happen. Like, nothing was cheap in this game, except clearly the budget, because there's some rough ends. But for an indie game, for what I think is $30 on Steam, I was surprisingly impressed. And they like tried to build in this bigger narrative. Do I necessarily understand every aspect of it? No, but I'm going to be honest with you, like, it's kind of as dumb as anything I found in Resident Evil. Like, you know, you're in a mansion, and then you go underground, and there's a laboratory underground, and then one of the guys is experimenting on himself and has powers, and it's just like, okay, this is kind of goofy, campy horror stuff. They do that, too. They have there's something bigger going on. But it's just like a lot of, like, I don't know, like, it was just this brilliant, like, they really wanted you to know this as a place. It didn't feel like a video game space. It felt like I was in a real area, just playing a video game based off of a real area, if that makes sense.
Right, it's got like good atmosphere. You can kind of believe that you're immersed in the world. Sounds pretty interesting, everything that you said about it. It sounds like it's right up my alley. So I'll put it on my list. Nice.
If it were any more money, I could be like, wait for a sale. But like for, I'm just going to double check the price on Xbox.
It's $30.
Okay, well,
on Steam anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to check on Xbox. But like, yeah, for $30, I honestly, like, if it were for the fact that, like, I've read, like, it's, an indie team, I would have figured it was from a bigger studio. Like, there's so much work done to make this game as good as it is, and it's a small team. Yeah, I'm just, I was thoroughly impressed. What is it? It's $29.99 on Xbox. I did have some graphical issues. Like, nothing major, but the screen kept having these, like, weird flashes of color towards the end in the later portions of the game on my Xbox One, however, my base model Xbox One. That might not be an issue on newer consoles. And the only thing I did was, like, I would just reload, I'd go and save, exit out, go back in, and I'd be right at the save, and the issues would stop. And then when the issues started again, which I must have been doing something to trigger it, like, it seemed like it was only in certain areas it would happen. And then it stopped happening altogether, so I don't know. But yeah, it was a minor inconvenience at best. Like, the only time where it was, like, a big inconvenience was, there was a point where, like, I couldn't switch guns for some reason. I just reloaded my last save, said, fuck it, I'll lose all my progress. It wasn't much. And it was fine. It didn't happen again. That was just a weird one-off. I, again, don't know what happened exactly. I might have, because there's like a delay before he pulls the camera up, I'm wondering if I messed with it and hit buttons fast enough, like, oh no, I didn't mean to do that, that it glitched itself to only holding the shotgun after. I'm not taking full responsibility. It is still a bug. It is still a problem. But I think for $30, damn, that was a really good experience.
If you like that game and the description that you made of it, I played a game not too long ago called Nightmare of Decay. It's this $5 indie game. It's like a first-person survival horror game. It takes after all the elements that you're talking about in terms of like the puzzle solving, the ammo management, and all that good stuff. And it's like a 3-hour experience. I beat it in like 2 sittings. It was super fun. Check it out.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's got that old school, like early PC look.
Exactly. And it's actually really nice.
I will definitely add that to my list. Yeah, that's kind of all I played because I really wanted to finish it. And then immediately when they showed me, like, you've only solved like 28% of all the puzzles, I went, oh, god damn it. I want to play this and I want to solve all the puzzles because, like, it was that good. And there is a New Game Plus mode where they're like, yeah, we'll hand you your weapons as early as possible. You get to keep all your upgrade skills or keep all the points you had too or whatever, so you can go through and just kind of like wreck everything and try to solve the puzzles that you missed. And I might do that. That's how good this game was. And I realize I'm speaking from as a person that hasn't played a ton of horror games. And the ones I've played, I've either hated, like, I still just can't get over how disappointed I was trying to play Evil Within 1, and how much I disliked that game. I know Evil Within 2 is better. Should just jump to that. But, I loved Resident Evil 2 Remake. The only thing that I was missing from it were more puzzles, and I'm like, shit, I'm getting it here. The biggest thing I can say about Phobia as on a non-technical level that I was disappointed with, there's 2 parts. I wish they had a melee weapon instead of just giving you pistol ammo. Because I feel like that would have been a better trade-off of like, I have to get close. Because like, I don't know what would happen if I ran out of ammo during a boss fight. Do they just keep throwing pistol ammo at me? I didn't. Maybe that was the thing. Like, they've given me so much that I just stumble over that, like, there is no way you couldn't win this boss fight. I don't know about that. And then more enemy variations, I think, would have been helpful. But they're minor complaints in a game that I really enjoyed. So I do recommend that. I realized after that Kirby came out this year, it's probably under Kirby, but, like, damn, I mean, that's still a high praise that if it's under a Nintendo first-party game as my runner-up, I really enjoyed it. What a fantastic experience. For a game I didn't know
these
about.
brand new studios that come out and kind of knock it out of the park on their first attempt. It's always like, when they have that really good first step, you really anticipate the stuff they're going to do afterwards. So it's great.
Yeah, like
They are a Southern American studio, right?
Yeah, they're from Brazil, I believe.
I'm going to tell you that, like, so many game developers down there do some really killer stuff. I'm sure you remember Anima, the Gates.
Anima,
yeah.
That was and so was Mercury Steam. Mercury Steam was a South American developer.
I thought they were Chilean.
Are they Chilean? Am I mistaken
Hold
on that?
I'm going to look. Give me a second here.
It's still South America.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah. Let's see here. Where are they from? Spain. Never mind.
Oh, okay. Still, like,
It's
still
still South America.
there's still so many. Yeah, there's still so many developers down there that just do some killer work.
Yeah.
And it's
Pulsatrix, the creators of Phobia, are from Sao Paulo, Brazil. I probably pronounced that wrong. I apologize.
Nice.
But yeah, they're really, really good team. And if this is their first go, I'm sure they have to say that. Like, I'm sure this is their first as a team. They clearly have experience beforehand, and they clearly love video games. I'm surprised they didn't have like a blatant reference to Resident Evil or something. In it, maybe they did. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it was one of those safes.
It's one of the 70% of the other puzzles you can do.
Yeah, man, like, I kind of hope their next game is a sequel where they work off of what they've built here. Because there's still a lot more they can do. Like, this could be, like, I don't want to say budget title, because I feel like it lessens the value. But this could be the third pillar of horror if they do keep going with it. like, I could see this being like, yeah, man, Resident Evil's really good, and in the downtime, you should play Phobia. Because Silent Hill doesn't really exist anymore, but Silent Hill is still beloved. So, like, you know, they're the second pillar of horror gaming. And I could feel like Phobia could, you know, be that downtime finally. Because there isn't really anything outside of Resident Evil and a bunch of other indie games, most of which don't understand that jump scares do not equal scary. It just is annoying. But that's it for me. I've been, Ken, you said it, like, you're really selling this game.
You are, and it's on my hard drive, and maybe I'll try it this week.
I think you'll enjoy it. Like, it's got a slow start, because they want you to slowly get into knowing the hotel. But then they introduce enemies, and they don't really give you a time away from that afterwards. So.
Well, I'll check it out. Alright, I will move over to Jay.
Okay. Well, the reason I came on today is because I said once I get my Steam Deck in and I have some time with it, I'm going to hop on and talk about some impression. So I'm going to do just that. I have 2 games to talk about. Those are the review games that I have on my plate still. But as for the Steam Deck, I received it about a week and a half, like about 2 weeks ago. I have the 512 gigabyte one, and so. What have you guys heard about the Steam Deck so far as an overall impression goes? I know to, say in terms of expectations.
Everybody I've heard that has one is very happy with it, and they have pretty much going to replace their Switch for everything outside of first-party Nintendo.
Yeah, so. You know how I like to tinker with stuff. I'm always been more about a PC guy. I have the biggest library in Steam compared to all my other libraries. Not because my PlayStation library is small. I still have hundreds of games on there too. My Steam library is just kind of bloated. I think the only other person that I know that has a larger Steam library is probably Ken.
I don't have a huge Steam library.
Do you not?
It might be like 100 games. My Xbox is where my library's at.
Oh, okay. I thought I had a conversation with you when you had like 2,500 games on Steam.
I think that might be me.
Yeah, I think that's Anthony. That's not me.
Yeah.
It's because those early Steam sales, man. Those early Steam sales were like, you give us $20, we'll give you like 50 games. I was like, shit.
Anthony, if you have that much, there's a website that you can go to that you can plug in your Steam name to tell you the worth of your Steam account in terms of like game value and stuff.
No, I don't need to hurt myself like that.
I wish there was one of those for Xbox, because I just passed 3,600 games on my Xbox library.
Jesus Christ, Ken, that is incredible.
Hey, that's 4 generations of Xbox. Okay?
It is. Yeah. And that is impressive. And the best thing is, I mean, all those games are still accounted for.
Yes.
So that's always the best part. PlayStation, not so
man,
much. Nintendo certainly not Nintendo.
Yeah, I've actually been going back. I hooked up a PS3 recently. Like, holy shit, going through your list of games to download is the fucking worst.
It's like you're navigating that interface underwater or something. It's ridiculous.
God, it's terrible. And like, I forgot that download list also contains every video you've ever downloaded and every fucking DLC pack and the DLC was terrible during the cross-buy generation because like my PlayStation All-Stars. My PlayStation All-Stars downloads is literally like 100 things, and half of them are Vita, half of them are PS3. It's ridiculous, man.
Sony really needs to get their library together proper.
My favorite part about that whole thing is like, it's all here. You can only download 10 at a time.
Yeah, and then you have to...
What?
You also have to forget about that you have to download it, and then you have to tell it to download in the background, and then it has to prepare. And if it's a big game, it takes fucking forever.
And then if you wanted to update your discs, you can't just download the patch. No. You gotta go in. You have to start the game because it won't just download automatically.
No, you can't actually press the options button and go check for update.
What?
Yeah.
God damn it.
You can do that now. Like I bought a disc this week. Crazy, I know. But it's the only way you could play Ridge Racer 7. It's the only way I could play it. So I put in the disc and hit the options button. It said you can update. I was like, oh, cool. At least that's something.
It can. What if I told you that there is another way you could play Ridge Racer 7
You got
on the
a
Steam Deck?
you got a good PS3 emulator. I haven't found a good PS3 emulator. I heard there's some out there. I wonder if my PC will handle it.
I don't know about the specific specs of the hardware that you have, but I think it ought to be good enough.
I'm running a
The
2060.
PS3. Go ahead.
I'm running a 2060.
2070?
2060.
2060?
Yeah.
So emulation is bottlenecked mostly by CPU. Just as much as it is done by GPU. I think it's like maybe like 60-40 or something like that. So if you have a decent CPU, even a 2060 is plenty enough to run emulators. Especially depending on the resolution that you want to sign up for, right? If you want to do like 4K, 60 FPS and stuff like that, it's going to be rough. But if you're doing like a nice, easy 1080p with 60, that ought to be doable. So as far as the hardware experience itself, this thing is fucking long, guys. Like,
I've seen it like comparisons.
I have it
like
sitting on my desk.
Yeah.
And holy shit, it is long. Because of the D-pad and the analog sticks and the buttons are kind of next to each other instead of kind of on an angle, it kind of is spread out. And that's due to the fact that they wanted to put the touch, the little trackpad interface in there, which actually works pretty well. But actually holding the device, is actually fairly comfortable. It took me maybe about 30 minutes of actually playing stuff to not really think about my positioning of the fingers when I'm trying to do stuff, which is very quick. Holding it and kind of playing it right in front of me doesn't make my arms get super tired like it does in certain other devices, despite the device not being the most light of devices, but it's not that heavy either. I will say that I'm not a huge fan of the D-pad on the device. When I was trying out some fighting games like BlazBlue or something like that, I'm trying to do more advanced combos, the D-pad just wasn't cutting it. So I would like to see an improvement on that front for the later iteration. But the analog sticks are nice. They have good zones. They don't like slip off of your fingers. The buttons have a nice click to them. So overall, it's pretty good. I don't like the way they position the R1 and the L1 buttons on the top of the device. Kind of like the bumper buttons. I feel like there's no space between them and the triggers. So it feels like your fingers kind of slide between them a little too freely. And I don't like the positioning that your finger needs to be to press those buttons, but it's not bad. It's not ideal. I'd rather still have like a PS4 controller in my hand instead. But, as far as a portable device, it's not that bad. The screen is pretty good. It's very bright, especially, if you turn up the brightness slightly. I wish it was an OLED screen. I will say that a billion times more times because I think it would have made for such a great device if this was an OLED screen.
Do you have the Switch OLED by chance?
I do not have the Switch OLED, but I still have my Vita.
Oh my god, the Switch OLED screen is so fucking pretty. Oh my god.
It's so good, yeah.
Oh man. I kind of want my Switch to break down so I pick up an OLED, but
I justified mine by giving my son the old one, so I bought the new one.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, my nephews all unfortunately have their Switch, so I can't make that excuse just yet. But if I have a good excuse for it, maybe I'll do it. But come on, guys, the Switch Pro is coming out soon, right? That's what everyone says. So
I mean,
wait for that.
Any day now, any minute now. Shit.
Yeah, so, might as well wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
As far as setting up the device, it's very, very easy. I think it's super user-friendly. You just literally type in your Steam account information, go in, it updates by itself. I put in a 512 gigabyte micro SD card, formatted it, started using it for internal storage. And the Steam game selection is actually quite great. Like, a lot of people talk about how a lot of games are either untested or unsupported on Steam. But if you actually do a little bit of checking around and do a little bit of testing yourself, you'll find that like half of the games that are showing not supported actually just work. A lot of that problem comes from it not having a default control scheme that works. But if you actually click on a game and if you go into these options, you can choose to download a community layout for a control. You don't have to like search for it like deeply. It's just right there in the interface. You download it with a click of a button. It automatically loads that control scheme and boom, you're in the game. It's supposed to be unsupported, but it loads up. It controls perfectly fine and it's great. There's more unverified games too, but that just means you try it out. Maybe it works. And I would say about 8 out of 10 times I've tried out an unverified game. It works flawlessly without any problem at all. I mean, being able to play fucking Alpha Protocol on the go. Where else are you going to be able to do that, you know? And there's tons of little games that I've tried out, and when the Steam cloud saves work proper, it's actually kind of genius. Like, I could be in the middle of a game, kind of put the game on suspend. I could hop onto my Steam account, pick up where I left off, and it actually detects the save that I was in the middle of. Kind of almost like an intermittent save. And then when I boot up my Steam Deck and said, hey, your save is out of date or you made progress somewhere else, and then you kind of basically load up the game again, get your latest save, and then start off from there. So the seamless aspect of the interface is definitely there. And I finished I finished one game like that. But there's also cases I learned that Steam doesn't offer cloud saving for all games. I personally thought it was universal. I thought, why wouldn't it be, right? But it turns out it's a game by game basis. If you try to go over to a game that's like lesser known or more like indie kind of game, then chances are that it might not have it. So, that's not great. So if I'm making progress on my Steam Deck and I want to pick up where I left off on PC, that's not possible. There's no easy way to do it. I can't transfer over any of the saves that I have on my PC to make it work very easily on Steam Deck. That's something that they really need to invest in. They need to make the Steam Cloud saves to be universal for this Steam Deck to really be a seamless experience from both angles. So on the front of the actual official support, works great. I have very little complaints about that other than the save. But I will say that the concerns about the battery life are totally valid. I think I can only really get about 4 to, I guess depending on the game and the fidelity that I'm playing at. But my experience...
Did we lose him?
Oh,
I
sorry.
think we lost. There we go.
Whoops.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that. My mic went out for a second. So about 4 hours of straight gameplay before the device starts letting me know that it's running low on battery. Not a problem for me because I mostly use this device, a couple hours at a time. I'm not the kind of person that'll play, a handheld device for more than like 2 hours at a time. Honestly, I don't really want to do that. But outside of that, if you really want this to be a truly portable device, I think a reasonable hour mark that you want to have is maybe like 6 to 8 hours. That is kind of like an airplane trip kind of deal, and then you can use it and without having to charge it or anything like that. So hopefully they'll improve the battery for the next iteration as well. And it also doesn't support things like downloading and uploading while the device is in the suspend mode, which I expect it to be there because I am comparing this device to like the Switch, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which does all of that. So I want that to be something that's implemented into the device as well. But going more into the customization device, side of the device is I tried a lot of stuff with emulation. And I will say before I start, I own all the games that I'm going to talk about. I own all the systems that I talk about. So kind of getting the legality stuff out of the way. So it basically supports almost all the stuff that I have used for emulation's sake. So it goes from like Nintendo console, it goes to like Sega Genesis, Game Gear, it does Saturn, it does Dreamcast, it does Super Nintendo, N64, it even goes up to like the Switch. I used it a lot for PS2 emulation as well, and that's actually currently in alpha status, so that's the most roughest one of them all so far, but they are making improvements on that.
What's your front
go
end?
ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's your front end? What are you using? Are you using like EmuBox or...
So the simple process of setting it up is actually very easy. It's almost foolproof. You basically go to a desktop mode on the Steam Deck, which kind of makes you leave the Steam interface, and then you just open up a browser, which Firefox is already installed. You go to the website emudeck.com, and basically you download one thing and you run it from the desktop and it takes care of everything. Every single emulator that you want to have that's compatible with the Steam Deck right now gets pre-installed, pre-configured to be used on Steam Deck. All your job at that point is to install a BIOS for certain systems that need it, and of course the ROMs, which are separate. So once you install that into the thing, basically you can have this in two ways. You can have the games show up as like a Steam game, with like its box art and everything like that as an independent title they can launch from Steam, or you can just launch the emulation station from the deck itself and then basically run the game that way. And that's kind of the way that I do it, because I don't really want like 120 emulation games like popping up on my Steam as like a collection of stuff. So I go into the Emu deck from the Steam interface directly, and then I open up any game that I want from there. And it's so crazy what they've done with how easy it is. You set up this thing called scraping the games, and it goes through your laundry list of all the ROMs and game ISOs that you have. It downloads the box art. It downloads a demo video. So you could hover over a game. It shows the box art. It shows you the back of the box art. It shows you a screenshot. And if you hover along on it for like a couple seconds, it starts playing a video of the gameplay in an emulator. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And
so
how
the
professional it is.
scraping and stuff is similar
Yeah.
to RetroArch, but there's no videos on there that I've seen.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
think
yeah,
the
there's-
videos are option. I actually just installed retro achievements into RetroArch yesterday. That's
Oh, that's neat.
that's pretty cool. Like I earned an achievement in Alien
Yeah.
vs Predator on the Super Nintendo.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hey,
and
hey, Jay, real quick,
Sure.
how's the Saturn emulation? Because I know Saturn emulation is traditionally a pretty tricky. It's a pretty tricky system to emulate well. A lot of the ROMs end up with a lot of slowdown and stuff. So how has that been in your experience?
So I've only tried out 3 games for Saturn so far, just for the sake of trying, and all of those games have been pretty flawless. I tried out the Code Veronica X version on Saturn, which is supposed to be the definitive version of Code Veronica X, apparently, because it has all the graphical improvements and all the content from the PS2 version, but it runs a lot better too. I also tried out the English translated version of Sakura Taizen, which also worked really well. And then the last game, I think it was Panzer Dragoon,
Okay.
and that worked pretty well too. So I would say Saturn emulation is pretty great. And the thing about it is, like, I've tried Saturn emulation on my computer before, and it's kind of a pain to get going. Like the GUI is not good for that, right? But on here, you just literally click on the game. It has the box art literally playing a little mini video for you to see what the game is like. You click on it and boom, it just runs.
Nice.
So even an easier experience than that. Like I said, the PS2 emulation still has some time to go. It's under kind of alpha right now. But the good thing about it is that there's so many customization things you can do that basically allows you to make things that would otherwise be difficult to run or not be compatible work if you put in a bit of time, which I love to do because I like to tinker around with stuff. And the best thing about emulation on this kind of a device is that it not only allows you to play these classic games, it allows you to play them in a better way. They perform better, as in, like, there's widescreen hacks. So games that used to be 4:3 are actually showing more of the screen than they used to. It's not like stretched out image kind of ruining the integrity of the image or anything like that. There are hacks that people do for games. For example, I'm playing Persona 3 Fez on the PS2 emulator, and the funny thing is, it's really difficult to get a good idea on what the definitive version of Persona 3 is, because there's the original version, there's the portable version, which add the ability for you to control all the characters, but it's on PSP, so it looks the worst, and you can't even go around like exploring the town like on foot or something like that. It's all like very, very much like icon and menu based. So, but Persona 3 Fez, which has the big additional campaign at the end of the game, doesn't allow you to control your characters, your extra characters. They kind of go by AI, which is a huge pain in the ass. So I'm playing a hack version of the game that takes Persona 3 Fez content and then gives you the ability to control all your party members at once. So it's like, it's best of both worlds, and that's been kind of my experience in terms of setting things up. Downloading English translated versions of games that never came out in the States. I think I was playing this PlayStation 1 game where you're in an airplane and it crashes, and then you're trying to survive in the mountaintop with like snow, like there's weird stuff going on. But anyway, it sounds really interesting. I never even knew it came out. There's a game made by FromSoft. It's like this mech fighting game that I've never heard of, that I didn't know existed, but I just learned about it. It has a full translation, so I just downloaded that and let it go, basically, because it's not available in the States in any other way. So it opens up so much possibility, and it really kind of brings in home how important emulation is for the history of gaming, and like what it has done in the future. And the thing about it is, like, if they decide to put out new versions of these games that are definitive, that are better than these emulated versions of games that the community is putting out, I would 100% like buy those games and support the developers doing it. But you have to realize that so many games are being, left in the dust and kind of like forgotten in licensing hell, or, either the developers just don't care about them anymore. So
Yep.
being able to give them new life like this means a lot. And having it in portable form in the palm of your hands, wherever you want to go, is just next level. So, in that front, I think the Steam Deck was a rousing success. And I would say my experience with it has been excellent. But that's also because I am the type of person that likes to tinker around with stuff. I am getting the extra buck for all the emulation stuff that I'm doing. And also due to my massive, like, 2,000 game library on Steam, the vast majority of which I could actually play on the Steam Deck, means a lot of value. But if you're someone that only has like 2,000 games on Steam, and doesn't really want to go into like the emulation side of things, would this device be worth it? I would probably say not. So you have to really check yourself in terms of what you have on your Steam library and what you're willing to do to get the best bang out of your buck in terms of this device. So if you're anything like me and the circumstances that I pointed out, then I would 100% recommend the Steam Deck. And the fact that it's just the first iteration, and I know for sure that this has been so successful that there is going to be more iteration to come in the years, So, dude, like if they put out like an OLED version of this device with a better D-pad and, oh man, and like a slightly better like CPU, like GPU combination, I would plop down like $800, like no problem. It wouldn't even be a second thought for me after the experience that I've had with this. The potential is just so great.
So have you actually docked it to your TV by chance yet, or is this just portable for you?
I've done the USB-C thing. So I have a USB-C hub I connected to a monitor, kind of have the desktop experience there while I was setting things up. Because you don't want to be using the touchscreen interface or the little trackpad while you're setting up emulators and stuff, because it's kind of a pain in the ass. So in that way, it works. It works exactly the way I wanted to. But I haven't actually used it to play the games, because, outside of the proof of concept, why would I have a 3080 PC that runs everything like really, really flawlessly? So there's no need for that. But I can see myself in a situation where if I needed to go like, somewhere, I could basically load up all the stuff that I need for work on this Steam Deck, bring my USB-C device along, plug it into, a monitor, keyboard, mouse kind of thing, and then just kind of work remotely at a different location without having to bring my computer along, which is pretty great.
Cool.
But do you guys have any other questions for me at all in terms of like the Steam Deck and stuff?
The only
I
question
don't think so.
The only question I would have, and if I ever got one of these, it would strictly be to hook it up as like, because right now my PC is running, like I have a switcher on my PC that runs an HDMI cable to my TV so I can play RetroArch, so I can run my emulated games. So like if I bought one of these, it would be dedicated solely to emulation. How easy is it to like transfer stuff? Like I have all of my crap on my PC, like a 4 gig folder full of ROMs and BIOS and all that stuff. Like how hard is it to move that stuff from one? Like does it have USB? It's a flash card? What is it?
So you can do it in multiple ways. Once the SD card or the micro SD card is formatted on the Steam Deck, it's not going to be immediately readable on PC anymore. So the way I do it is that I have a USB stick that I connect to the hub. Okay. And if you have a USB-C to USB connector, you can directly plug the storage device, and then it'll pop up normally. So it's very, very easy to transfer things over. Or if you want to actually go wireless, there's multiple applications that connects, that creates a connection between your PC and your Steam Deck wirelessly that allows you to transfer over files that way, which is pretty neat, but I haven't done because I think my method is probably just as fast in terms of actual transfer speeds and stuff.
Straight transfer is so much faster than wireless. Wireless is funky file transfers.
Yeah. But like in your situation, Ken, like if you have it to basically dock next to your TV and you don't want to move it around or anything like that, I could see the benefit of just having to just kind of drag a folder over to like an FTP server and it being, popping up in the exact directory where you want it to be on your Steam Deck. I don't know if I can recommend it as a device to be used kind of like a kiosk for RetroArch. Given my experience with this so far, because I haven't used it in that way, but I don't see why that would be a problem, given the experience I've had so far.
Yeah, I think if I ever got one, that would be so I could kind of move my emulation off of my PC to that, because I literally only run that on my TV. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice to have all that emulation stuff on the go too. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I could see myself, watching some TV and playing some classic games or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, my favorite activity is hot shower, get on the full body massage chair for about an hour, just playing stuff on the Steam Deck. It's chef kiss.
First world problems, right?
Seriously, well, I kind of need it because of my bad back and everything, but it certainly helps the time go along.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my experience with Steam Deck. In terms of game, I'm gonna keep it pretty safe. I've been playing DNF Duel. It's the new fighting game from ArcSys, based on this dungeon fighters thing, like this fairly popular free-to-play game, which I didn't know much about. And then it's an ArcSys fighting game, so you can expect at least the visual fidelity to be there, and it certainly looks great. But I would say that in terms of gameplay and balance, this might be my least favorite game that I've played in a long time. They made a system where blocking is sometimes worse than getting hit. In a way where if you block for too long and they try to keep attacking you through the block, they guard break you, leaving you open. But while you're blocking, you're taking chip damage, which they can basically kind of use a move to cash in all that chip damage, and then you just take all that damage anyway. So you can find yourself in a situation where you can try to go up to a guy who's almost dead, and the less HP that they have, the more MP that they have, which they can be used to chain strong attacks and moves and such. So you go in, they're at they're basically a pixel away from death. You have full health, and they do a dragon punch, which is reversal move. They cancel the dragon punch into a different move and put you into an unescapable block string that will kill you from full health. So I'm just kind of like sitting there, and I'm like the game really promotes being offensive more than any other game that I've seen in my entire life, and the fact that most of the characters have moves that take up like half the screen. And the characters don't even move that fast to kind of cater towards that kind of like large normals and stuff like that. So it's a messed up game. Like, I don't know how a lot of these things got past QC. There's like an infinite that's like super easy to do. Some characters are so much worse than other characters to the point where they like one of the characters I think are getting banned from tournaments already, so that they can't even use them because they're just so much better than everyone else. So it's like, I get it. It's the first iteration of a fighting game and the foundations to come, but I don't know, man.
So
this game does not feel ready.
Is this game straight ArcSys? I thought I saw that Aiding worked on this.
I think ArcSys handle most of the actual programming aspect of the fighting game, but I think the other side comes in terms of like the character designs and other things where I think they're in charge of the dungeon fighter stuff, right?
I don't know. I just know Aiding made some of my favorite fighters during the PS1 and PS2 era, and it's so sad that I haven't seen them lately. I need Bloody Roar 5.
Maybe I'll look more into that. Yeah, maybe this is more Aiding than it is ArcSys. I don't know the amount of like work that each companies did, but I will say that the single player campaign is very bare bones. There's a quote unquote story mode, but the story mode is more of an arcade mode, and the arcade mode is just, I don't know, you just play through a bunch of things.
I feel like
there's
ArcSys
very little content.
I feel like ArcSys is just getting their hands in too many pies. Like every game they put out is forgotten within like 2 months, and they put out a lot of games.
They do. And the thing about Arc Sys is that they make some of the best fighting games that I've ever played. And I mean, they're responsible for Blaze Blue, which is my current favorite fighting game at the moment. And Dragon Ball Fighter Z, tremendous game. There's so many games that they've made, but it does really feel like they should maybe focus their time and effort on less games, but with more quality control.
The game the game that I put on hold to do Phobia, like finish Phobia, is an Arc System game
Yeah,
called
like
Ground Divers.
they just make so many games, and it feels like they don't actually break. Like Dragon Ball Z Fighters is the first one that people talked about, and I think it's mostly because it's Dragon Ball. Like you mentioned Blaze Blue. When was the last Blaze Blue?
A long time ago.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
That's kind of, yeah.
Like
They've
they
been
will-
really focused on Guilty Gear, so.
Yeah, but everybody forgot about Strive. Like some people still play it.
No, dude. I will tell you, Strive is actually still one of the biggest fighting games out there right now. Like,
It's one of the
bigger
biggest-
than Street Fighter V.
But it's one of the biggest in that community. But in like generalization, like nobody talks about it. Like people still talk about Tekken 7. That game's fucking ancient at this point.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about anime fighters, man. They never really got to hit the mainstream. The only game that was pretty close to it, I guess, was Dragon Ball FighterZ, and that's thanks to its IP more so than anything else.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I do appreciate the quantity of stuff because it always gives us stuff to play. I think it's fine if you play a fighting game for like a couple of weeks, you sink like 60, 70 hours into it, you move on. I think you got more than your money's worth at that point, right?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I just feel like they struggle to get a singular identity. Like they're constant. Like you forget Grand Blue Fantasy Versus came out, and Dragon Ball Z Fighters, and Guilty Gear Strive, which I tried to play, but my God, booting that game up and it checking the network, it just...
They fixed that by now, but yeah, you're right. That was a big annoying issue.
Oh,
and I'm not even a big fan of Strive either. Like, I don't really appreciate the gameplay. I love the way it looks, and I enjoy watching high-level play, but to play it myself, no thank you. I don't really like it that much. And I feel the same way about DNF Duel. It also kind of sucks that I decided to try an archetype of a character that I normally don't go for in fighting games. I played like a straight zoner in this game, and it turns out she's like one of the worst characters in the game. So, Good on me.
That's how it
for
goes.
picking the right time. Yeah. But it's whatever. I mean, it's still fun. It's still fun to kind of mess around with and stuff, but it can get very frustrating. I think they could have definitely spent a little bit more time fine-tuning the game a bit. The other game that I've been playing, with Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, which is the expansion for Rise, and it is exactly what I wanted Rise to be from the get-go. All the like mechanical changes that they made in terms of like additional things you can do with your Palamute and the Palicos, the little hunting buddies that you have. There's actually real AI partners that you can bring along to your hunts now. So all the characters that you mentioned, you talk to and stuff like that, they have their personality and stuff, but you never really got to see that stuff in action because they're just in the hub. You just talk to them after you finish the quest. But now they can tag along with your quest. They can like save your life when you're kind of messing up. They can heal you. They can put like a monster into like a stun state. It was wild to me the first time where I was fighting a monster. And it was the first time I was fighting this monster, and I was having a hard time of it. And then all of a sudden, I kind of like noticed that like, hey, where's my AI partner? Like, I don't even see where they are right now. So I figured in my mind, it's like, oh, the AI probably messed up. It's probably stuck in a wall somewhere. And I'm just kind of like, that's kind of a bummer. And then all of a sudden, I hear like a voice call that says like, hey, sorry to keep you waiting. And then my AI partner comes riding a fucking dinosaur.
Yeah,
And it starts attacking. Yeah, it starts attacking the monster that I was attacking, knocks it down, does a whole lot of damage, and we go to town on it when it's knocked down, and then we kill it. I was like, wow, that was such a cool moment. And the AI of the partners are actually really well done in that way, where they help you out when you need it, and they do a decent amount of damage to the point where they help, but they don't do everything for you. So it's really nice to finally have that in a Monster Hunter game, because I can tell you that level of AI programming is not easy, because Monster Hunter can be a very complex game. So it's nice to see that. I wish it was available for more missions than the select menu of the ones that are available. I think there are some problems with the anomaly monsters, which are kind of the end game monsters. They have way too inflated HP counts, which I don't particularly enjoy. I think I usually finish my hunt in about 6-7 minutes or so. But when I was fighting these monsters for the first time, I think it was taking maybe like double the time, like 12 minutes, which isn't great. Because if you knock down a monster and you're doing a ton of damage to it, you feel like you're making the progress, but because they have basically double the health, without having their moveset change drastically, it feels kind of like they're more, sword spongy than they ought to be, which is kind of a bummer. But I like the conclusion of the story. I like the new monsters they put in there. The new weapons and armor stuff is great, the skills and everything. And everyone that complained about Monster Hunter Rise being too easy, I was part of that crowd to some degree, but not so much. We'll be happy to know that monsters can kill you in like 2 hits again in good old master rank. So, if you were looking for a challenge, there you go. You can get completely one shot by certain monsters and certain attacks and stuff. So have fun with that. But it's great. This is exactly what an expansion should be, and I'm looking forward to the future updates. And that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I will move on to the Wombat.
All right. So, like has been the case for weeks and weeks and weeks, I am only playing Elden Ring. I spoke to our good friend Jay because I was stuck on the final boss, and so I am now taking his advice and working towards increasing my holy resistance.
Getting good is basically what I heard.
No, it's really about equipment at this point.
Oh, really?
Holy
As much as anything else.
It doesn't fall into the Destiny equipment spiral, though. I'm assuming it's more like
no,
hidden
it's
stuff.
mostly because I have a very specific build, and I have a blood loss build, a melee blood loss build, and so most of the other bosses I can just chop through pretty easily, but this boss specifically, A, can't be blood lost, and B, does a lot of holy damage, which I don't have a lot of resistance to. And so, unfortunately, to be able to use the spell that I need to cancel out most of his damage, I'm basically at a point where I'm going to have to respec my character because I have not put any points in faith at all, and that's what I need to cast the spell. So instead, for now, I decided I would go try to kill Moog, Lord of Blood, first, just for fun. And I got him down to like a sliver of health left, but he killed me. So I'm going to keep trying to kill him, and then I'll go back and fight the Elden Beast.
Nice.
But
Mold does give a ton of experience. When you kill him, so it'd be nice for a level or two.
Yeah, and he is actually susceptible to blood loss. So he's just got that thing where he chants the spell and then takes all your health and heals himself. And I got to him before I got the item. So I tried to fight him a couple times without it. I'm going to try a couple more times since I got so close. And if I can't beat him without getting that item, then I'll just go get the item and come back.
Gotcha. Nice.
But it's an amazing game, as I've said multiple times now. So I'm really enjoying it to the point where I'm actually a little bit sad that I'm running out of stuff to do. At least major bosses wise. So I've got in terms of major bosses, I've got Moog, Melania, and the Elden Beast left. Obviously,
looking forward to hearing about your experience with Melania.
Yeah, I'm saving her for last.
As you should, yes.
Yeah, because I have heard horror stories about her, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned before, but Melania, out of all the bosses in Souls, took me the most tries. And Ryan, don't even feel bad or discouraged about having to reset your character. I did it myself about 3 times during my playthrough of Elden
Yeah.
Ring myself.
To be fair, I already
Mm-hmm.
reset once because I needed enough arcane to be able to use Rivers of Blood, and I didn't have enough arcane. So I had been. It's funny because I had originally envisioned myself as a sword and shield, strength and dex character. And so that's how I kind of started leveling myself up. But then I literally used the Uchigatana until I found Rivers of Blood.
Uchigatana is such a funny name.
But I used that weapon for the entire time until I got Rivers of Blood. So I beat basically everybody except all the way up to the fire giant with that weapon. And so once I got that weapon, I was like, well, shit, now I gotta get some arcane, and it's much easier to respec than to try to level up that much arcane, especially late in the game, because it costs a lot to level up later in the game. So, but yeah.
Well, luckily they gave you plenty of items to respec. I think in a single playthrough you can get 12 respec tokens equivalent. So it's you don't even have to worry about wasting one of them. It's just kind of just keep going. So that's good. Yeah, hopefully my advice helped you out a bit, because that's the same exact thing that I used in order to beat the boss on my first playthrough. Because I was using also a similar weapon that didn't really work too well against that particular boss. And that was also under level 2, it turns out. But at the time, I obviously didn't have a barometer because I was reviewing the game. So I was just everything was blind. It's but I think you'll get it. You've seen the attacks. Once you have the resistance to kind of take, basically you're going to be taking 30% of the damage that you used to take after you put the spell on and the talisman and stuff, then it's gonna be much, much easier for you.
Yeah, I'm expecting. So the other thing that let me just say, as much as I love this game, and as much as I have loved basically all of the boss fights so far, that one sucks. I don't enjoy it at all because the boss basically runs from you, and if you're a melee character, it's impossible to chase down effectively without completely burning your stamina. And you don't get to ride your horse in that boss fight. So you're just basically stuck trying to run around and chase the boss down. And it's been, I'll say, my least favorite fight so far.
Wow.
I still think so I haven't obviously tried Millennia yet. I still think the boss that I had the hardest time with at this point is Godric.
Oh, really?
Because
you're talking about the full version, right?
No, not Godfrey, Godric. The one in Stormvale Castle.
Oh, okay.
Because you're so, I'll say, relatively underleveled by the time you get to him.
Mm-hmm.
And his attacks do, at the time, by the time you get to him, his attacks do a significant amount of damage. Plus, he's got that fire attack once he puts the dragon's arm on. So yeah, he's probably the one I've fought the most times at this point. Probably the fire giant was second. But that was more bad luck in a couple cases. There were a couple times, once, so when you fight the fire giant, there's a cutscene halfway through fighting him when you get him to a second stage. Coming out of that cutscene, my character just died for no reason. As soon as the cutscene ended, my character fell over dead. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a glitch because of where I was standing when I beat his first phase. But yeah, that was a pain. But he just in general, I think, is kind of a tough boss.
That's funny. Glitches like that tend to have, it's just, just kind of mess you up a bit.
Yeah. But, overall, again, I'm still really loving the game. It's definitely my game of the year. It's hard for me to see, God of War beating it, but it definitely, the first one was amazing. So if it's anything like the first one, it's definitely got a chance.
Nice. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it. And it's a game that's like really good to play while you're taking your time with it because there's so much things to explore
Yeah, for sure.
and things to do and stuff. So that's great.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, I just beat Moog while I was talking here. So
Nice.
cross that one off the list.
Let me know when you're fighting Melania and you're going to be talking about it in the show so I can listen to it.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
That's going to be fun.
I'm confident that one's going to be a very frustrating fight.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to respect for that fight as well after you respect the fight for
what's
all of them.
her sort of weakness? She doesn't have one. Is that what you're telling me?
Staggerable is what I'll tell you. Yeah, so that is your best bet. Be as aggressive as you can without being suicidal is the best thing. If you try to just dodge and block everything, you will die.
Gotcha. And what level were you when you finally beat her?
Probably about 120. I did not level up that much. I should have, honestly. The thing about it is, like, to me, when I fought her, once again, the whole review aspect of it, I had no idea that she was supposed to be this hard. And I thought I was just, like, not seeing the pattern. So I just kind of beat my head against the wall for a little while. And then after I figured out that she's some kind of, like, super boss that I really need to take the precaution for, then I went out of the way, leveled up my spirit summon for Tish, and then I was finally able to get her down eventually. But it was not easy. It took me over 50 tries to beat her.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, that's it, Ken. That's all I got.
All right. I'll wrap this bitch up with a couple things. Indie games. Yeah, it was not a great week. Although, I feel like I played the new Way Forward game, Spider Source, and I feel like they have the same problem as Arxis. Like, they put out some pretty quality games consistently, but they're forgotten about so quick. And Spider Source feels like it's going to be another one of those. It's literally a left-to-right Contra kind of run-and-gun shooter, but the hook is that it's got some Metroidvania to it where you get these powers as you progress through. So basically you go through a level, you kill a giant. So we talked about this last week, but they're dinosaurs with spider DNA. So they're kind of mixed monsters, and every monster you beat at the end of every level, you get a new power. So you'll get, like, I can stick to walls, I can double jump, my dash is better. And as you get these powers, the game becomes a little easier. You can go back to older levels and pick up things. It's perfectly competent. It's got that way forward, like one of the main characters looks like she could have been in a Shantae game. Like, that's just what you kind of expect. Runs real smooth, plays real smooth, but I just feel like it'll come and go like everything else Way Forward puts out, which is sad because their games are always good. There's just kind of too many of them. Krut, the Mythic Wings was another one. You're playing this, like, bird dude it reminds me of the side-scrolling levels from, ActRaiser. That's the name I'm trying to think of, ActRaiser. So, the combat doesn't feel great, and honestly, it's very telling of a game when I'm halfway through the first level, and I'm skipping enemies, because I just don't care to bother to attack them, because it's not that fun.
Well, Ken, you had my hopes up when you said ActRaiser,
yeah,
and then you said it sucks. So
yeah, no, it just reminds me of it, like, visually, like, of the side-scrolling levels.
By the way, guys, like, I didn't play the ActRaiser remake, but I saw some screenshots of it and says, "Wow, that looks like trash." Is that game any good, or am I?
With the original ActRaiser? Or
no, the new one.
Remake.
I have not played that.
I didn't play it either. I heard it was trash.
I heard it was trash as well.
I heard it depended on where you played it. There was some neat additions, but it wasn't better than the original.
Yeah. No, I heard, like, people, like, it's shadow dropped during a direct, right? And then, like, 20 minutes later, Twitter was just like, this game sucks.
That's kind of unfortunate because ActRaiser is such a cool concept in terms of like the gameplay and stuff like that, the town building, the side scrolling, and how they interact with each other. And yeah,
It'd be great if they would put their efforts into, seeing as how that was kind of the beginning of the team that would go on to make Illusion of Gaia. Maybe redo those games and good. That'd be nice. Thanks.
dude, I would love like a remake of Terra Enigma. It's like one of my favorite SNES games that never came out in the States.
I want to say that's the third game in that series. There was, what is it, Soul Blazer, and then Illusion of Gaia, and then Terra Enigma.
God, you're taking me back to issues of EGM with the ads for those games. Holy shit.
Wait, Terra Enigma had ads for...
I'm mostly thinking Soul Blazer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Soul Blazer is definitely... I can remember like a full page ad for Soul Blazer and an EGM, so... Mothman 1966 is a choose-your-own dialogue adventure. Very pixelated art style, very green and black, dark colors. Not my jam. Rayland is a puzzle game that like you could literally get lost in. It's basically just taking mirrors and redirecting beams of light to reach the end of the puzzle. That's pretty much all you do. Super Ola Champion Edition is a runner where you're a llama jumping over frogs and alligators, and it's not very good.
Sounds like a phone game that was ported over.
Yeah, I could see this being a phone game. Shred Remastered, I was excited because it's like Trials on bicycles, and then I played it and I was like, this is not very great. Tales of Bistoon actually surprised me. So this game reminds me a lot of Stories, The Path of Destinies, where there's a constant narrative of this guy talking about what you're doing in the game. It's a isometric perspective, action RPG, and I think it's really cool. I only played like a half hour of it, but it definitely gave me a Stories vibe, and I might play some more of that one. And then the last indie game I played was called Dreadout 2. I'd never played Dreadout 1, but this is essentially a third-person horror game where you're walking around with your phone as your flashlight. In a school, you're of course, a schoolgirl in a short skirt walking around with an axe. Yeah, it's you.
Of course you are.
You get where that's going. But let's talk about the most important indie game this week. And Ryan, I'm upset you didn't play it. We didn't talk about it, but I fucking washed with some power.
I know. I didn't have a chance. I shouldn't say I didn't have a chance. We got company coming in next weekend, and so we have been basically working on the house nonstop.
So you lived it in real life.
Yeah. And then the little bit of time I did have, I played Elden Ring. So
holy shit.
Tell me all about it. Tell me
Holy
how glorious it is.
This game is I've put 8 hours in this game in 1 week.
Damn.
This game is the most relaxing thing I've ever played in my life. It speaks to my OCD of trying to get every little nook and cranny of dirt. Also now when I walk around in my garage, I'm like, I could totally power wash this section of my floor and then move to this section of my floor and then move to so this game, it literally is what it says it is. It's a power wash simulator. It's a first person game. You've got your spray gun. You've got different nozzles you can attach to it. You can buy upgrades. You can buy new guns. You can buy cleaning solutions. But basically, each level gives you it starts off real simple. Here's a van. Clean the van. That took me like 10 minutes. No big deal. Like it's broken down into sections. Each section has like a meter. You can kind of watch it. You can also pull up a tablet that shows you all the different things that you're cleaning. Tells you the percentage that you've got them done. It'll tell you what type of material it is. So when you buy like soaps and cleaning solutions, you can clean them with just water, but if you have like a metal soap solution, it'll actually clean it faster and more efficiently. But you start off with something simple like a van, but holy shit, it ramps up real quick to where I was cleaning an entire playground and eventually like an entire house. And from what I've seen in the later levels, you clean like an entire like district, which
nice.
I can't even imagine how long that would take because it took me 3 hours to clean the house.
What I would love is that it starts to get crazier and crazier. It starts off as a simulator, but then you're like, why are there bloodstains on the floor?
So hold on, Anthony, hold on.
Oh God.
When you're cleaning the house, so while you're cleaning, you'll get text messages, and the text messages will unlock new missions, but they also come from like your partner that you do the business with. And when I was cleaning the house, he mentioned that there was like these symbols under the dirt that they thought were angelic. Like there's actual dialogue about stuff like that while you're cleaning the house. Holy shit.
That's the shit. That's the thing. Like, I feel like there's two types of simulators. There's the joke ones. And, like, you're not Goat Simulator, and, like, even Goat Simulator. Okay, enough. Anyways. And then there's, like, the super serious, boring, you're gonna learn to fly a plane today, son, fucking type simulators. And there's never one that's like, no, we're gonna do that thing, but we're also gonna, like, explore the fucking zaniness we can go without, like, totally taking you out of the game. Cause, like,
yeah. This 100% has this.
If that game turns into, like, you have to stop an alien invasion with your fucking spray gun by you're using the same mechanics. It's not like you're shooting aliens down or whatever, but, like, you're stopping the plague by cleaning everything. Like, fucking sure.
So I won't spoil all of them, but they're what they call the special cleaning sessions, and one of them is the Mars rover.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
This is the shit I'm talking
Cool idea.
about. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep. This game
Make it weird.
This game is so fucking good, and the best part is, baby, it's on Game Pass.
That's right.
Damn it,
It's true, it
I'm
is.
downloading it.
It's
damn
so
you, Ken.
good. It's so
I
good.
didn't need a game like this in my life, man. Oh no.
Dude, this is like I took breaks from Overwatch to play this week, and this was the final weekend of the beta for Overwatch 2.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was power washing when I wasn't playing the final beta for Overwatch 2.
Damn. This game sounds like it's one of those things where it's like, I'll sit down and play this game for like 30 minutes, and then you look at the clock, it's been 5 hours.
Oh, 100%.
And,
100%.
oh no.
This game is
Oh,
so
no.
bad for my timing. Like, it's so funny. Like, everybody in my house thinks I'm crazy. Like, my son keeps coming in here. He's like, "You're still fucking playing this?" I'm like, "Yeah."
The real question to be asked is, did you order a power nozzle for washing in real life yet?
I've been pricing them. I'm thinking about it.
Maybe those senators are right then. Video games does cause you to commit the acts that you do in these video games, man. We really need to cut back and censor out all these cleaning activities. I know Drew loves the lawnmower simulator and you're about to buy a power washer. I don't know, man. This is getting harmful here. Oof.
Oh, this game is so good. It's so relaxing. Especially because it does the thing where it has really good feedback. So, like, you can press right on the D-pad to see where all the dirt is. So, like, if you're missing a spot, like, you've got it 99%, you're like, where the fuck is this last piece of dirt? You can just tap right on the D-pad. It'll glow orange for a second, kind of show you where it's at. Also, when you complete a section that is deemed a section, it'll make this ding sound. And the ding sound is so satisfying, especially when you've been, like, going at this really big area, and you finally get that ding, and you're like, oh man.
How's the haptic feedback? Because I figure if I play with like a mouse and keyboard, I might be missing out on some cool vibration stuff.
There is definitely some feeling of the different nozzles. So, like, you've got the one that's just straight spray, but it covers a wide area, but it doesn't get in the deep. You can eventually get a nozzle that is a straight stream, but also kind of moves in a circular pattern. And man, it feels good. I'm saving up for the industrial. I'm saving up for the industrial spray gun right now. It's $5,000, I think, for that one.
Damn.
So, and just as an example, the house that I cleaned only paid me $650, and that took me 3 hours. So, I'm saving up.
It's like $120 per hour. It's not that bad.
Yeah. It was a good job to do, and I got to climb up on there's things in the environment you can use to get to higher places, like they'll put ladders in the floor or stools that you can step on. Oh man, this game. It's so
Damn,
good.
I feel like we're going to be talking about which power washers to buy for real.
Oh,
in
100%.
like the next few weeks.
That's gonna happen. That's gonna
Oh,
happen
man.
at some point. Oh my god, this game is so good. And then I spent the rest. Oh, go ahead.
I'll go ahead. You're about to talk about Overwatch 2 anyway, right?
No, I talked about that last week, and people get mad when I talk about it too much.
Just real brief.
Yeah.
Do you like Overwatch 2?
I do. I'm frustrated at the beta because literally you can only get in as support right now. The queues for DPS and tank are like 15 minutes, and I just don't want to wait that long.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the changes. I do like the new characters. Sojourn feels overpowered right now. Junker Queen, I feel like we're going to have to get used to that. She's an interesting tank, but we'll see how it plays out when we're actually playing competitive, because right now everybody's just kind of fucking around. So...
Fair enough. When's the game actually launching in terms of like full release?
October 4th is the launch date.
Because October didn't have enough games coming out for it.
Right, exactly. I'm like, dude,
Oh
you're gonna
my
drop, and it
goodness.
drops at the beginning of the month. So I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Anyway, I expect them to do one more beta with the new support character, which we haven't seen yet, and that'll be the last beta before launch. That'd be my guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I like it. It feels weird to not be shooting shields. Like, I've been shooting shields now for like 3 years, and it feels weird not to. So
Reinhardt still has a shield, doesn't he?
he does, but there's only one tank, so it doesn't take long to break a shield. So
That's true.
especially when they've like buffed up so many of these DPS characters to do so much damage now.
It kind of feels like it'll be kind of miserable playing Ryan, and Ryan was my favorite character to play in that game. So
The changes they made to him make him much more viable. So
Okay.
yeah, the shield is just there
I'll
for like
see for myself for sure.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the shield is just there for like a quick team fight, but when you get to brawling with him, if you're playing a brawl build, with your team, he's pretty
Mhm.
good. He's pretty good.
Nice. Cool.
All right. The rest of the time I spent, I went down rabbit holes. We were cleaning our garage, and I stumbled across like all of my old systems. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna dig into some GameCube. I'm gonna dig into some PlayStation 2, some original Xbox, which led me down to more rabbit holes of buying HDMI adapters and. Jesus, I went down a rabbit hole, and it turns out like. GameCube is cool when you hook it up, but my emulation's better.
Yeah. Dolphin's pretty great.
My PS2, I have a Slim and discovered that it no longer reads certain discs. So that
On brand for PlayStation 2s, by the way. I went through like
Yeah.
4 systems because of that.
yeah, the Slim
Unfortunately-
though, I thought it was okay.
I was going to say, unfortunately, PlayStation 2 is one of the few retro systems that I don't have anymore, at least of the ones that I used to own, because I gave mine away. I had a slim PS2 as well, and there are times when I'm like, man, I wish I hadn't given that away.
Well, RetroArch is pretty good. It's pretty good. And you can dump the disc if you have a DVD drive, just FYI.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can teach you about that. I've been doing
okay.
some PS2 stuff on RetroArch, and it's running okay. It runs okay.
Ryan, I've been playing some nice Skies of Arcadia Legends.
Oh God,
Pretty
what
great.
a great game
Pretty
that
great.
is.
Yes.
I tried to start playing that with my son actually on the actual GameCube, and he wasn't as into it. I was hoping that he would get into it, but he wasn't as into it. So eventually, I need to go. I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. I have Dolphin as well, obviously, and it runs okay on that on my computer. So
You can run Dolphin in RetroArch now.
I know you
Yep.
can. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I have run a couple of the GameCube games that I have, and as Jay said, I own Skies of Arcadia Legends on the GameCube, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't
that
feel
was
bad about having a ROM and running it in
Yeah.
RetroArch.
that's where I was kind of
But,
going with like I hooked up my GameCube and I booted up Wave Race, and I'm like, wow, this looks like shit. on 480i or whatever the fuck it's running at.
Yeah.
And then I booted it up in RetroArch. I'm like, oh, this looks like a modern fucking video game.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
bump up
amazing
the
how that
internal
works.
resolution by
Yeah.
like 4 times. You put like a full widescreen hack on it, so it shows more of the screen without being stretched out. It's amazing what they've done.
Yeah, I will. The only one I can't do is Xbox, so I did get the Xbox up and running, and apparently the Xbox I have is running XBMC, so it's kind of got a weird opening menu, but I did boot up a couple games, just digging through it, and I did pick up an HDMI converter. I did grab that one from Amazon, Anthony, and you're right, it works fine. Xbox, some games ran at back then. You couldn't tell. Like your TV wasn't good enough to tell.
Right.
Now I can
you
tell.
You would maybe get a bit of a difference off of a 480p image if it could output that.
Yeah. So like I booted up a couple games, and don't ask me why I booted this game up, but Turok Evolution definitely does not run at anything higher than 480i.
I didn't think so. Yeah, like a GameCube you can push to 480p.
If you can find that fucking cable.
No, you don't have to anymore.
Well, I'm not digging.
So do you know if your GameCube has that digital out port?
I do. It's the black one, so I don't know.
Well, so if it has a digital port out, you can just buy an HDMI cable for it now.
Well,
Which is
I mean,
what I have.
To be fair, RetroArch's running it better, so I might just stay there. Because hooking up a retro system to my TV requires not only another HDMI port, which for God's sakes I've got a 360,
I
a
understand
PS3, a Series X, a PlayStation 5, my PC, my Apple TV, and a Polymega all running into my TV. So I've got fucking splitters and breakout boxes all over the place. It's crazy.
I'm just looking to see if I can find the HDMI cable.
Speaking of sound, Steam Deck's speakers are actually much better than I expected them to be.
That's
Way
what I've
better than
heard.
Switch for sure.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
It's super loud and the sound is very full. And I actually wasn't expecting that from my handheld, so that was a nice, pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I've been down a bad rabbit hole. And then Ryan, it's terrible. I've used RetroArch all this time. I didn't know you could customize like the menu to remove stuff. I didn't know you could change the background color. I didn't know you
Oh yeah, you can do crazy stuff.
Yeah, and I had never done that, so my shit still looked like PS2, like with the blue fade wave with all the extra shit you don't want, like images and video and fucking all that shit. But yeah, I've been down a rabbit hole, installed achievements on RetroArch, so now I'm earning achievements in games, played some Metroid Prime, because Nintendo's never going to put out that fucking HD version. So...
Yeah, it's crazy how much money companies are just sitting on with all this retro stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I'm out here actively trying to give you money for things, and you won't take my fucking money.
Yep.
It's crazy, because I will buy all of this. Like, I can run it now, and I can play it, but I always prefer playing it through, the way it's meant to be played.
Exactly.
Give me... anytime I want to play a Super Nintendo game, it's available on Switch Online, I'll play it there. I won't go to a ROM. I'll play it there. Because I don't have my Super Nintendo hooked up anymore.
Right.
Do you know how excited I was to learn about that Atari collection that's coming at the end of this year? I'll finally be able to play some fucking Jaguar games without dicking around.
Do you want to play Jaguar games, though? Isn't there 2 good Jaguar games in the entire library?
You know what?
And one of them is definitely not on there.
I play whatever the fuck. Sometimes I just want to play some shit, even if it's some shit. I like some shit. Some classic games are bad, I still like playing them. I'm a proponent of Project Overkill. If you've never played that, that's a bad video game. My namesake got an HD remaster. Go sort that shit out.
True.
That's a bad video game.
It's not a good video.
It's a bad video game because we've made better, though.
Sure, but
at the time, they were working off of very little to get that to work. There's the difference between that and Eternal Champions.
Eternal Champions is a bad, great video game. Leave it alone.
Is that the N64 game?
No.
Sega Genesis.
Genesis and Sega
Sega
CD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's as I mentioned on Twitter the other day, Ken is the champion of horrible 90s fighting games.
100%. Bio Freaks, War Gods, Mace the Dark Age, Dark
It's
Rift.
the N64 game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, War Gods is the N64
That's what I was
game.
thinking
It was
about.
on PlayStation. It was on PlayStation.
War Gods was
was it?
good, man.
War Gods was on PlayStation, so was Bio Freaks.
Huh.
They were both
I don't
Mace the
remember
Dark Age.
War Gods being on PlayStation, but I believe you.
Yeah, I have the disc. I know it exists.
I told you I spent
Not a
more
flex.
time than I'm comfortable admitting playing that horrible Dungeons and Dragons Ravencroft
Iron and Blood.
Iron and Blood fighting game.
You know what the best part about that game is, and I will never forget this as long as I live. If you play as the Goblin
Yep.
and you stab a person on the ground, he goes, I'm going to have a sandwich. I will never forget that for the rest of my life, that he says that line when he stabs somebody on the ground.
I'm gonna have a sandwich.
I'm going to have a sandwich. But he makes this like little laugh at the beginning. He's like, I'm going to have a sandwich.
The guy getting stabbed or the one doing the stabbing?
The one doing the stabbing.
Okay. That makes
Goblin-
slightly more sense.
The Goblin in that game has some fucking outstanding voice lines. It's just... Yes, Ryan is correct. If there's a bad fighting game on PlayStation 1, N64, Saturn, I am a proponent of that video game. I love those games. They were so...
Hold on. Let's not stop there. There were plenty of bad fighting games on the original Xbox that you also enjoyed.
Tao Fang, Fist of the Lotus.
Fang, Fist of the Lotus,
Kokto Chojin.
Kokto Chojin, yes.
Yes.
Oh, do you still have Kuto Chojin?
Yes, I do. I do.
With that, so not only is it a bad video game, it also used that same sample that fucking Ocarina of Time used.
Yep. And I remember the day we took those discs to the dumpster where most of them made it.
Ha! It's like the headphones I'm using right now. Hey, we're gonna throw those out, right?
I worked
Yeah.
at EB Games.
Do you want
when
$20 for them?
when
How
Microsoft
many do you
asked
want?
us to destroy all of the Kokto Chojins. Most of them got destroyed.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Legitimately, the headphones I'm using right now, when I worked at Target, they're Skull Candy headphones. They're like the higher end ones, and they were gonna crush them all. I'm like, how about you sell me some so it's not a complete write-off? How much are you thinking for them? So my manager said, I'm like, $20? He's like, how many?
$0 and 0 cents.
That's how much I paid for
trust me, if
Kokto Chojin.
I said, yeah, but they should have paid you to take it.
Well, here's
at
the
that point.
thing, Anthony. I tried to
I
be
said-
legitimate. I tried to be legitimate and pay for it, and we were not allowed to sell it.
I said, he's like, how many do you want? And I said, 2? And he's like, done. Alright.
All right, so that's all the video games we're playing. So let's talk about what's coming out this week. It's actually a pretty good week. There's some big games. So, As Dusk Falls is out this week. That's that. Xbox doesn't have any first-party games. Well, there's one. That's that really weird one you saw in the presentation where like the still images, the choose your own adventure kind of game. Do you remember that?
I do, and I know they got some like notable actors playing roles and stuff like that, but I'm still kind of confused as to know what that game is about. Is it just like a visual novel style with still pictures, or is it kind of like a Telltale series with animations and stuff?
There's no animations, but it has the choices and stuff, so you can do branching paths and things like that. I don't know.
Oh,
It's
if
out
the
this
story's
week.
good, I'm down.
It's on
Yeah.
Game Pass, so why the fuck not try it at least, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
What is not on Game Pass, though, also coming from Microsoft this week, is Forza Horizon 5 expansion Hot Wheels. That's out this week.
Oh.
Gloom and Doom. Here's the big one. I'm excited. This is exactly what we were just talking about. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 Remaster is coming out this week. I will pay for that. Love those games.
Does it look like a good, it's a remaster, not a remake, right?
Yes, it's just like the
Yeah.
first one. They did
Okay.
that first one, what was it, last year? I think is when it came out. That one was good, so I'll buy this one too.
Was last year the year that Dark Alliance came out?
Oh, that
Yes,
new...
That
it
is
was.
this. It was the same year as that.
I think that was last year.
It was last year.
Okay,
Yes, it
Ryan,
was. for sure.
Ryan's basically the person I was asking.
He's
You know,
the proponent
yeah,
of bad RPGs.
That's right. So I am to Eurojank RPGs as Ken is to bad 90s fighting games.
100%.
To be fair on this
Nice.
particular situation, though, we had higher hopes for that Dark Alliance
I had
game. that came out.
super high
That's-
hopes for
yeah,
that
very
That's
game.
not really an RPG at all.
No, it's not.
No. Still,
I downloaded that game to play it, and then I heard people talking about it, and then I just uninstalled it.
that's probably wise. We tried even co-op to play that game, and it's still not good.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's super unfortunate for me because it's not only do I like the original Dark Alliance games, but this one is based on the Dritz novel series that I'm super into. So I was very much looking forward to a game based in that universe, and it sucked.
Seduction, A Monk's Fate.
A
Sounds
monk or a monk?
a monk, like a Buddhist monk.
Oh, okay, like a monk.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, Trials of the Dragon King, first expansion for that game. Bright Memory Infinite, remember that game? That's out this week. Finally. Hell Pie and Severed Steel. This is all Series X and PS5 stuff, by the way. And then Capcom Arcade Classics Volume 2 is out this week, which has some sweet dude, it has the fucking Mega Man fighting games in it.
Really?
This the one with all the Darkstalker games, or was that the other?
That
already?
was the fighting collection. But this one
Okay.
does have some Darkstalkers games. Like, there's some bleed over between those two collections. Like, I think a couple Darkstalkers games are in this, as is, I want to say either Red Earth or Cyberbots. I can't remember which. So, that's out this week. Go to PS5 real quick, see if there's anything extra. Yep, Century Age of Ashes, which I think is that free-to-play dragon game. Madison Possessed Edition. Dreadout 2, coming to PlayStation 5 this week, came to Xbox last week. And finally, the game the internet can't stop talking about, and I don't know why, Stray, the cat game.
Is a lot of people talking about that game?
Oh, dude,
Yes.
my Twitter feed is blowing up like, oh, I can't wait for Stray, can't wait for Stray.
Really? I haven't heard of anyone talking about it in my feed, but my feed is very different.
Yeah,
My son is super excited for Stray. So
Awesome.
we're gonna play it.
yeah, it's on
Well,
PlayStation
you know.
PP, so.
Yeah, it's on
Yes.
PP Plus. Oh, you saw that, Ken, the Streaming Wars, South Park?
Oh, 100%. I need to watch the
Yeah.
second part. I haven't seen the first one.
I just saw it yesterday. It's good.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you remember that stupid bird skateboarding game?
Yeah,
I've got
Skateburb,
this-
or whatever it was called.
Whatever it's called. This feels like that in the same sort of hype.
Dude.
Like everybody's excited.
That game
Whether or not this-
sucked.
It looked like it was bad. I don't know what the people were thinking. Like everybody's like, "Oh, that's gonna be great." I'm like, "Is it though?"
It did,
It
yeah.
doesn't look very good. This at least looks better than that.
I'll try it because it's free with my PlayStation PP, but I wouldn't buy it. Like, they asked me if I wanted a review code like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, nah. PlayStation 4, Xbox One, mostly the same stuff. We're also getting Endling, Extinction is Forever, Hazel Sky, same. Arcade Archives, Chack and Pop. Oh snap, Chack and Pop. Danganronpa S, Ultimate Summer Camp, Post Void, River City Saga 3 Kingdoms, and Omori. Check Xbox.
Hell yeah, Omori.
It's already out
My,
on Xbox.
Game of the Year
Yeah.
2021. Nice.
Is the River City? I didn't realize this was coming out. Now I
That
need
is-
to know. Because, what is it called? River City.
Give me a
Three
second. I got
Kingdoms?
River City Saga 3 Kingdoms.
Kingdoms. What the fuck?
Then Xbox One, mostly the same stuff. The only additional stuff here is Airy Vikings and Princess Loot Pixel Again X2. Whew, that was a mouthful.
That's a title that rolls off the tongue
Absolutely.
like a Razor blade.
Oh,
All right,
No.
Nintendo Switch. It's time
Hold
to.
on,
Oh,
wait.
go ahead.
I need to read this out loud. Cuneo, the beloved hot-blooded renegade, is back to wreak havoc in the world of the Three Kingdoms. The story covers all the way from the Yellow Turban Rebellion
Oh shit!
to
Yellow
the Battle
Turban
of Red
Rebellion.
Cliffs through 6 dense chapters. I just saw, as soon as I saw Yellow Turban Rebellion, I was like, oh crap.
All right, it's time for the Switch and figure out which one of these games is horny. I'm not going to go through the same stuff that's I already said for the other systems, but we also have Fallen Angel, Redout 2. The first one is a ding ding ding. Bunny Must Die, Chelsea and the Seven Devils. That feels like that might be horny. I don't know. Am I Kind-Hearted? Bricky to Me? Koromon?
Okay, so I decided, fuck it, let's look up Bunny Must Die.
Okay, is it?
Far less horny than I expect. Is it a bunny girl? Yes. Is it done in a way that's made to be like horny? I feel like you'd have to struggle to get there, to be honest with you.
I mean,
Like, it looks like a Metroidvania that's actually pretty decent. I'm surprised. This is not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting that. To
See,
be
this
honest with
is-
you, like real.
this is a fun game because now I'm going to read two games that I don't think are, but you could totally
Oh,
see that
God.
they would be.
Okay,
So
give me the first one.
The first one is a Japanese escape games, The Hotel of Tricks.
Hold on.
well,
that one's a pass. I pass on that one.
Yeah, I
Hold
don't
on,
think it
I'm
is
looking it
either,
up.
but
All right.
it totally could be.
Okay, and then what's the next one?
Wall-E and the Fantastic Predators.
Oh God.
Oh,
Okay.
gosh.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
Like Wall-E, like the Pixar.
No. Oh no. This is a lot of no, but this is no and not the way I'd expect. Oh no, that spider moved way too uncomfortably realistically.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
It's a spitter. It's a spitter game.
Yeah. So it's a Wall-E and the Fantastic Predators actually looks amazing. I don't know if it's my type of game because it's got permadeath type of stuff.
Oh, no.
But it's a roguelite oozing with charm and humor for 1 to 2 players. Watch the video on that Steam page and watch how that spider moves. And just...
I'll get to that in a minute. All right.
It moves so wrong. Also, the Japanese escape game looks like a cheap
Yeah, I
escape
figured.
game. Give me a second. I need you to see the level of, the level of, graphic design we're working with here.
For the Japanese escape game. Oh my! Yeah, it's one of those. It's a Unity assets game.
Man, I
Yeah,
love
Unity assets
Microsoft Word.
All right, the rest of the Switch games. Doodle Devil Evolution, Doodle Devil Pack. Say that 3 times fast. God damn, I barely got through it once.
Dual Evolution.
Dungeon Slime Collection, Hover Racer, Inertia Redux, Sakura Fantasy. Yeah, I think that might be one. And then Live a Live is out this week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wait,
I
is it?
still need
is
to
it-
play the
is it
demo.
this
I
week?
haven't.
Yeah, it's on Friday, 22nd.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
Oh man, I want to
physical
play
copy of
I
that.
played the demo of the first path, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's on my list. I need to play the demo. I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Oh shit, Live a Live's getting
the
a physical
demo's good.
copy.
It carries over to the actual game too, so which is always nice.
Yeah, that's always nice.
Yeah, I want to keep my schedule free for Xenoblade 3 at the end of this month, though.
I'm gonna go buy a
Oh.
physical copy
Hold
of
on
this
a second,
game. I
dude.
hate myself.
Do y'all know who
Also,
Matt McMuscles is?
yes.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Yeah, fuck off.
He's in your
He's got
cat
bad
for
taste
bad
too.
games.
Yeah, like what the fuck is he's? Yeah, no, he's a bad example to prove your point.
No.
Also, Sakura Fantasy is our horny game of the week.
Excellent. I knew there'd be at
Of
least
course.
one.
Yeah. Hold on, let me.
I'm gonna watch this video after. I'm gonna watch this video and the Digital Foundry. I've been watching their PlayStation 3 1080p videos. Those are really good. Oh wow,
Man,
that's
that's
like what
That's
is that? It's
easy
not even.
cheating horny.
But that's but it's not. It's fuck. It's like
Dude,
it does
that
have
is-
nudity as a tag, but it's like
That
what
is
even
some
is that
armor right there. Holy
Wait,
shit.
what is that?
What the fuck is wrong with people?
Dude,
Touch grass, guys. Touch grass. Jesus Christ.
I'm not sure if you guys do this too, but on my Steam, when I boot up Steam, I like to scroll down to see like what's coming out because I don't really keep up with release date these
I don't
days,
want to know what's
especially
coming
not PC
out.
ones. And the amount of porn games that they showcase on like the front page of Steam these days is insane. There's
Well,
just like one about like Hitler furry porn.
We talked about
game.
that game last
Oh,
week.
I showed that.
So I follow that Twitter account that's what's new on Steam.
Steam. Yeah, I sent that to you.
Yeah, and then there's also one called like the videos, like it shows the trailer, so I follow both of those and they tweet at the same time and oh my god, those videos. Man,
Maybe something shouldn't be on front page, you know?
I've actually blocked adult games on Steam because I'm just tired of seeing them. They're all crap. Like I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't need to see it. And they're like, we've hidden this from you. I'm like, no, thank you. The only reason why I can see it is when I type it in my browser. I'm not logged in. So.
All right, let's do the news. So we got lots of news this week. We'll start with Nintendo has updated their patent for machine learning, which continues to spark the rumors about the upgraded Switch with DLSS. We'll see. Who knows? Here's one that hurt this week, the way this is just worded. Respawn is recruiting for a new single-player game in the Apex Legends universe.
That's funny.
It's no longer the Titanfall universe.
Press F to pay your respects to Titanfall, man. Damn.
Yep.
Titanfall 2 was so good, too. Bums me
It
out.
was. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Returnal on Steam keeps getting updates. This has got to be soon, right? It's got to be soon.
I would think.
Yeah, that's got to be the next game because it's Spider-Man and then Miles Morales and then was it Miles Morales first or was it Spider-Man first that's coming? I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
I know
It makes
one of
sense
them.
to make Spider-Man come first because, you know, Miles Morales is kind of a pseudo-sequel.
Maybe.
Definitely not just a pseudo sequel. It takes place almost not immediately following, but following the first game. So
Yeah.
True, but like you could play the games out of order and it would like still make sense. It doesn't really matter.
yes, I mean
You think so?
I mean you could, but I mean considering Miles isn't Spider-Man at the beginning
That's
or
true. That's true. Yeah.
until the very end of the game.
Spoilers.
Sorry
Whoops,
for anyone
sorry.
who doesn't know that Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man.
We have a black Spider-Man? Wow. So progressive.
That's some woke Spider-Man.
And I hear he was invented just for the video game.
Absolutely. You didn't know that?
Wow.
All right. This is a funny news story. Xbox Series has already sold double Xbox One in Japan.
Nice.
So it sold 2.
Yep. This not very hard to do. But honestly, dude, like I've seen it like outsell PlayStation 5
Yeah,
in
it's
certain
doing
weeks.
good. It
which
is
is
doing
awesome.
good. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love to see Xbox back in that pseudo 360 days where they had a bunch of Japanese games. Like, it's good. It's good for everybody.
It's the Game Pass pull, man.
Oh,
People
100%.
see the value.
100%. There was a Bandai Namco hack this week, and leaked out of it was a list of games for quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is most likely fake. I saw Jeff Grubb report on this, and he said this is most likely fake, but I'm going to read it anyway. Quarter 1 was Armored Core and DB the Breakers. Quarter 2 was Little Nightmares 3 and Super Fighter Z, which I'm assuming is like a super version of Dragon Ball Fighters. Digimon Sliber Sleuth 2. Quarter 3 is ER Barbarians of the Badlands, Tales of Ascension, and Tekken 8. That right there tells you why you know it's fake.
Yeah, that's a fake.
Quarter 4, Code Vein 2, OPM Fighters Association, and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. So, yeah, probably fake, but Namco did get hacked. They have confirmed that they were hacked. So, Nintendo did a direct less this week. So basically they made some announcements without doing an actual direct. The first was Kirby's Buffet, which at first looked like Kirby Fall Guys, but it's not.
Yep.
It's only 4 players, and it's local. So, definitely not Fall Guys. Their second announcement was the Bayonetta 3 release date, which is, Jay mentioned earlier, in October, because nothing else is coming out in October.
Nah, it's clear sailing for Bayonetta 3 only.
Yeah. And I saw they were making, the first game available physically, so that you could own all 3 physically now, because the first one was only digital with the Bayonetta 2. So, that's pretty cool. Sega also announced that the Genesis Mini 2 is coming to the U.S. on when? October 27th. How much money you got in October? Hopefully it's a lot.
Yeah. Just, put a lien on the house. No problem. You got it.
That Mini 2 is going to have Sega CD games on it. So.
God, I'm looking at the full list of confirmed October releases, and I'm like, I'm going to be buying like 6 of these games, man.
Yep.
It's not good.
Yep, there's a lot of games. At least Overwatch for me is free. So, although I did buy that stupid Watchpoint pack.
Yes, you did for the beta access.
Yeah, well, that, and it's also got the first battle pass in it. So, 35th anniversary of Metal Gear Solid is happening. And Konami, the only thing they said was they're bringing back the games that were delisted a few months back, which was MGS 2 and 3, I believe.
On what systems or what stores?
Xbox and PlayStation 4, I think those were removed digitally. And now they're back. So, also, Konami, what the fuck are you doing? Where is our Metal Gear Solid 1 and 4 available on modern consoles? Like, really?
It's taking too long, I feel. Like, I don't know, you know how like coveted and well respected Metal Gear Solid is, right? And if they release Metal Gear Solid 4, which has been so long requested on like PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC and stuff like that, it would sell so many copies.
So many. And what kills me is I heard that the most legitimate rumor that I've heard is that they're remaking 3, and I'm like, what? You can play 3 on a relatively modern console.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we not getting
And that
4?
console is 3DS.
I mean, you could play it there too. Yes.
I have it there. I don't know why I bought it, but I did.
It works.
Yeah, that's fine. I actually have Metal Gear Solid 4 up on my PS3, and it still looks good.
Yeah, that was a game that was way ahead of its time for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally just remaster it for PS5 and Series X and PC, and it would be fine.
Hey, you could probably even put it on a Switch, except it's gonna be like 100 gigabytes, but
Or streaming, one of the two.
Yeah, there you go.
PlayStation announces the Star Loyalty Program. So this is fairly similar to Microsoft Rewards. So you'll be able to earn digital things and PSN credit for buying PlayStation games. So they finally got around to doing that. There's a new Aliens single-player game from a studio called Survios, and I've heard that it's probably a VR game. Also, they fucked up their tagline in their tweet from the official Aliens Twitter. You all know that famous tagline from the first Aliens game, or the first Aliens movie, right?
In space, no one can hear you scream?
Yes.
Okay.
Their tagline in Twitter was, "No one can hear you scream in space."
Did it have like a question mark at the end of
like
that?
a comma or something? It's just like, how do you mess up your own line?
Yeah, that's silly.
Wow. All right. The new Assassin's...
I'm Ron Burgundy?
The new Assassin's Creed. Ryan, have you heard where it's set?
I have not.
It is set in Baghdad and will be called Assassin's Creed Rift.
Okay.
So again, It's not Japan.
No. Well, not Japan.
Yeah, and this game is coming
but
before
we had
universe.
Ghost of Tsushima to handle our open world
Oh,
feudal
yeah.
Japan desires. So I'm okay if Assassin's Creed waits for a while. But I'm excited. That's an area that they haven't gone back to in a while. So
Also, worth noting, this one is going to go back to the classic style Assassin's Creed games as opposed to the newer, more RPG focused.
really,
Yes.
I'm of two minds about that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel because I like where the new ones went.
I do too, and I know that there are some people who think that's sacrilegious, like the waffle on the Simpsons ceiling. But I enjoyed both style games, but I felt like the original style of Assassin's Creed kind of ran its course by the time they were done with Syndicate.
Yeah.
And so I really liked the new style. So I'm a little bit. I'll be cautiously optimistic to see what it's like if they go back to it.
All right. Next few stories are all about numbers. Resident Evil 2 Remake has broken 10 million sold. Holy cow.
Good game. Good
That's
stuff.
Luigi's Mansion numbers right there. Shredder's Revenge has broke 1 million. That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
That's great.
Elden Ring is one of the best-selling games of all time.
Good.
It's in the top
Deserves it.
10.
It's crazy to me because of how inaccessible that game is in a lot of ways that it's sold so well. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
though it's definitely the most accessible of the Souls games.
100%.
And
Agreed.
so I feel like some of it is because people have wanted to play the Souls games for a long time. I think a lot of people have been hearing people talk about how good they are for a long time, and now there's finally one they feel like they can play. I think that's part of why you're seeing it sell so well.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think we have even some people. I think it was Terrence who mentioned like, "Hey, this is my first Souls and he's loving the experience so far," and other things of that nature. And we have some listeners that were saying the exact same thing. So yeah, I think this has kind of been the game to get people in a lot of ways. And as I spoke about the game before, if you are willing to kind of use a little bit of aid and look things up, it can be the easiest Souls experience of all time.
For sure.
Out of
Yeah.
all the Souls games, yeah.
I can tell
Yeah,
you.
and as somebody who's played almost all of them, I think the only one I haven't tried is Dark Souls 3. It's definitely, in my opinion, the best and the most enjoyable. The open world is what makes that, I think, to me, because the other ones, it's easy to get stuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in this one, if you get stuck, you just go somewhere else.
You go somewhere else. It'll literally be the first Souls game that's been in my top 10. Unless something just knocks it out of the top 10, but right now it is definitely in my top 10 games of the year. So.
For sure. Yeah, it'll be in mine as well. That'll be, I think, probably at the top of mine. Again, depending on what happens with God of War.
Yeah.
At the very least, it should be either number 1 or number 2.
2 games that have been out of the top 10 sellers for a very long time reappeared. Anybody want to guess what those 2 games were?
Grand Theft Auto 5, Mario Kart 8.
Those have been in the top 10. These games have not.
Oh. Hey, man, I didn't know what fucking left.
One of them
was.
hasn't been in the top 10 since 2019. There's a hint.
Minecraft.
Nope, that's been pretty regularly in the top 10.
Well, fuck, man, I don't know what leaves. Do you think I give a shit about what fucking stays in? God damn it. I'm irritated that I'm wrong. I'm irritated that those have stayed. That's more... That's... Not that I have an issue with them selling well, but it's just like, these fuckers still sell. God damn.
You're just pissed that none of the games that you regularly play are going to be on that list ever.
No,
so
I
just
know.
get over it, man. It's fine.
I know that
he's going to be even
no
more
one's gonna
pissed
be
when,
like,
when I tell him what one of them is.
Oh no, I don't want to hear that.
Well, the first one, or does anybody else want to guess before I tell you what they are?
No.
I couldn't hazard a guess. Go ahead.
All right, the first one was at 159 and shot up to number 7, I think, and that was
Jesus.
Final Fantasy VII Remake
Oh, okay.
because
Okay,
of the
makes
new
sense.
Yeah, the new
The
Final
news,
Fantasy.
yeah.
All right, the second one hasn't been on the list since 2019. Shot up to number 5, Overwatch.
I mean,
That I kind of saw coming, so that's funny. All right.
Yeah. I saw it and I was like, excuse me? Like, I thought this game was dead, and also, why are you buying it? It's free in October.
Yeah.
Anyway, alright, the next two stories are all about acquisitions and mergers. Sony Bungie deal has closed, so that is now final. And according to a report I read this morning, the FTC could approve the Activision Blizzard sale in August, which means this thing may close before the end of the year.
oh, please God, just end their misery.
So maybe Bobby Kotick will be gone by the end of 2022.
That would be nice.
All right, let's talk about this PlayStation PP. So we got the mid-month update. So the way Sony does this is they do the beginning of the month where you get your normal PlayStation Plus games, and then in the middle of the month they give us it's extra, right? It's essential, extra, and premium. Is that the 3 tiers? I can't even keep this straight.
Essential.
I think
Is it?
extra.
I think isn't it just 2, or is it 3?
No, there's 3.
levels.
No,
There's 3.
There's 3. Okay.
yeah.
Essential
Essential
extra,
is
and premium.
definitely, I believe.
Sounds right.
I think you're right. Essential, I think, is the basic one. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then extra gets you the Game Pass catalog.
Yes.
So the Game Pass catalog for extra, which premium also gets, we get Stray, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, which boy, I bet those people just bought it are pissed. Marvel's Avengers, a whole host of Assassin's Creed games, including Unity, Black Flag, Rogue Remastered, Freedom Cry, and the Ezio Collection. Saints Row 4 Re-Elected, Saints Row Get Out of Hell, Spirit of the North Enhanced Edition, Ice Age, Scrat's Nutty Adventure, Jumanji the video game, Paw Patrol on a Roll, and Ready Set Heroes. Solid month of additions for extra. How about those premium games that we're paying that extra tier for? Do you want to know what classic catalog games you're getting this month?
I would love to know.
No
Not
heroes,
Dino Crisis.
no heroes allowed for the PSP, and Loco Roco Midnight Carnival for the PSP, and that is fucking it.
Is there any PS Now games that are getting added at least?
Nope.
Wow.
No trials.
Mm-hmm.
No, because the PS Now games would be considered in finger quotes classics because they're PS3 games. So you get 2 PSP games after that middling launch of, what was it, 10 games?
Wow.
Yeah, their retro library is embarrassing.
How do you have... I went to the PlayStation 3 store recently. There are almost 300 PS1 games on there that you can pay for. And we can't even get a couple PlayStation 1 games for this.
Did you ever get Siphon Filter to work, Ken?
Yeah, so eventually they just made it free for everybody. So,
Okay.
it let me just purchase it, and I was able to finally download it, and I tased the guy till he turned black, and I was like, yep, that's Siphon Filter.
That was all you needed to do to
Yeah.
get the entire Siphon Filter experience. And you needed to run as if the bottom half of your body was completely disconnected from the top half.
I 100% did that.
What do you mean, Ryan? That was just some really good mocap work that they've done for that animation. Yeah.
Yep.
That's how I also walk. Yeah.
Everybody is anatomically built like a G.I. Joe with a rubber band instead of a spinal cord.
I mean, isn't that how people are made?
Well,
I started
let's
watching
not get into that.
I started watching Westworld, and I'm creeped out. So.
I gotta watch the new season. Actually, I haven't watched last season, and I haven't watched this season, so I have a lot to catch up on.
Well, Drew's been on my ass for months to start it, so I started it last night, and I watched the first episode and a half, and I'm like, all right, this is. I didn't know it was a Crichton novel, so I'm like, okay.
It goes places for sure.
I mean, it already went places
I don't know.
in the first episode.
I don't know if it's how do I put it? I don't know what's more accurate to the Crichton novel. However, Crichton did appear in the original movie.
Yeah.
So
But back to Sony sucking at this even worse than
I don't
Nintendo
want to have
does.
to talk about like you know me, I'm negative. I don't.
But
how many times am I
imagine
gonna
if you
beat
were
this?
paying for this like we are. Well,
I
you know,
wouldn't because I know better.
but yeah, we
That's
did
the
the stupid.
point.
We did the stupid like buy the PlayStation Now subscription. So,
Like it just, I knew they were gonna fuck it up.
but how do
These
you
are the same
fuck it up
people
that
who
bad?
decided to keep passwords in a plain text file. Do you think they know what they're doing? They don't. They were like, you know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna keep building on top of the same shit. They're worse than Bethesda. They were like, we're gonna keep working off this same system, and we're just gonna keep building on the cross-media bar. As it gets slower and slower, and it's a bad system, and you're like, maybe we should upgrade to something a little different, and they're like, no, we're just gonna keep using this piece of shit. So no, I'm not surprised that they can't get their head out of their ass. They're also the same company that was like, hey, what if we do the PlayStation Classic? And it sucked!
It did
sucked
suck
so
really bad.
And they're like, they were asking for more money! They were asking for more money than Nintendo, and they didn't have the games to back it up. Like,
That's the thing about Nintendo is like at least when they do it, they do it right.
so, no, I'm not surprised. It feels like I'm beating a dead horse and trying to make glue. Like, ugh.
I don't know, man. Like, I think we're kind of, and this is what the internet does best, of course, is overreact.
Sure.
I would say at the end of like 6 months, maybe after end of a year to see where the program went. Because you guys know how PS Plus started? PS Plus was a pile of garbage. And then it ended up being competitive with Xbox Live after about a year or two. So we'll see where it goes. Like I'm not too concerned right now. It sucks, yes, absolutely. I'm there with you, but I'm not gonna be picking up a fucking pitchfork and getting angry about this shit. It's kind of pointless.
Motherfucker, I got pitchforks on subscribe and save on Amazon. You don't even know.
All I'm gonna say is that it's not hard to beat Nintendo at this. Because, like, they suck at doing it, too. They are so fucking slow at putting stuff out.
One a month
All they
in
had to do
64 games.
Yeah. And it's like, all they had to do was just show up a little. And they were like, no. This is your second month. This is your second month of this. And you're, like, already, like, not being able to really put anything into it.
I think
like, maybe you should have sat on it a bit longer.
I think what a lot of people don't realize too is like they boast that it's got PS2 games. Those are just the PS2 and PS4 games. Like they haven't added anything new. Like if you go to the PS3, there's like 100 PS2 games out there, and good ones too. Like some really really obscure shit.
Oh yeah, man. PS2 has, in my opinion, that's kind of like the JRPG aficionado. I think PS2 had the best JRPG library of them all. And so many of them kind of gotten forgotten. That's one of the reasons why I focus so much on PS2 emulation on the Steam Deck. So they can certainly do a lot, but what you have to remember is that despite the PS2 being such an old console, the emulation was never ever really perfected. There's still games that don't work properly or that run but work with glitches and stuff like that. And that's after how many years since the PS2? It's over 20 years now.
2001. Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, so basically after all that time, the community has obviously been working, but it's never been. So emulating PS2 is very difficult. So I want to kind of throw them a bone to this degree where, yeah, I know that it's hard. It's not as easy as emulating fucking, like NES, like Super Nintendo games. Every single one of those games are so easy to emulate. There's no excuse for Nintendo on that front. No. But for Sony, it's a different ballpark for PS2 games and also PS3 games, two of the most infamously difficult consoles to emulate currently.
That's the power of the cell.
Or the emotion
of course,
engine.
Man, the emotion engine.
Emotion engine.
So as much of a gimmick as it is, they did work in very specific proprietary ways. So what I would, love to see is them spending more resources. And I think they are going to do that, or they will have to do that, because if this is going to be a selling point and the outcry of the community hasn't made it clear about their expectations for the catalog of games that are being added. So if they don't go ahead and cater towards that outrage and kind of fix that aspect of it, I think they're going to lose a lot of subscribers, which is something that they don't want to do. So I feel like at the end of this year, or not the end of, actually, yeah, the end of this year is like 5 months from now, so I guess it's relatively practical. By the end of this year, it'll be a lot more respectable in terms of the stuff that's getting added in, like in a monthly basis. But if they still haven't gotten their act together by the beginning of next year, then I would say like, PS fucking premium is a scam. But for now, I'm kind of at the wait and see approach at the moment.
I mean,
I'm not
I've got
saying it's a
2 years
scam.
worth of service, so.
I'm not saying it's a scam. My issue is that it once again feels like this half-assed idea that they have to do the bare minimum of work.
Oh, absolutely.
And demand a premium for it. And it's like, I get it. They're still in the lead, right? They don't have to do the things that Xbox does. I'm not asking them to. But like, your phone from 5 years ago can run PlayStation 1 games just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the PS1's
What
is inexcusable.
the
in my opinion.
absolute fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
Because I understand licensing's a bitch. I'm not gonna ask them to like try to get Tulip because it ran on PS3 to get it onto PS5. That's insane.
But they have to have the license for it to sell it on PS3. So
yes, but they have to likely renegotiate for a new console
for their own
and
games.
service. They're not all their own games.
But what I'm saying is like,
But
why
that's-
couldn't they
that's
give
where-
us
yes.
some of their own games?
That's where I'm like, yeah, but they also published a bunch. There's where I go, yeah, there's no reason why this can't be happening. Like, it's annoying to know that they did, 2 games from, like, PlayStation 1 in the original, like, bunch?
No, there was like almost.
It
10.
wasn't a lot. That's still minimal in comparison.
Oh,
to what they have.
100%.
And it's like, I understand, like, Spyro's not theirs, Crash isn't theirs, and it's like, and
They're
it's
about
like,
to be
never going
Microsoft,
theirs again.
which is
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly. But, like, it's just annoying. Like, you have all these IPs, and some of them, like, Ratchet and Clank. The last time you could play the original Ratchet and Clank games was on PS3 on, like, the collection.
Yeah.
And it's like, they have this pretty decent PlayStation 2 emulation that they used. Like, it's the better version of Jak and Daxter is on the PS4, not the PS3 version.
Yeah.
And it's like, they dropped that so far, like so long ago for the PlayStation 4, and now they have this service. And it's like, if you knew the service was coming out, I would have had something that was going to be exclusive to the service. I know that sounds kind of shitty, but like, that's kind of a thing that you would want to have ready. And it's like, they had Siphon Filter with achievements. Cool. Like, it's just, I don't understand how they get so close and yet miss the mark by so far. Like, they walk up to the target and then shoot in the opposite direction. It's bizarre to me. And this is not the only time. That's why I'm irritated. That's the reason why I kind of knew this was going to be crap. They waited for the list. They had like, oh, there'll be more. There were more. It wasn't great.
And then also, I'm sure you saw that news story that they hired a team for this after it launched.
That's a bad move.
Yeah, like how?
What? They could have. I'm not saying like they might have a reason why they did this now, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm in the know. But to me, it's like you as a consumer. I know I don't have a PlayStation 5, but even on a consumer level, I go, yeah, this would have been actually better paced if you had waited a couple more months and launched this in December. You know, when people might be getting PlayStation 5s.
One can hope.
But then again, last time they tried to do something with the last time they had something happen in December was a big hack, you know? So, maybe.
Alright.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm with Jay. I'll give him to the end of the year to see if this thing gets better, but my God. The second month, like, that's the kicker for me. Like, if you'd have done this in the third or the fourth month or whatever, and you've been like, oh, we don't really have anything, that's fine. But the month after, like, when you got those subs, and you're like, oh, here's 2 PSP games, only one anybody gives a shit about.
That's the thing about it is like from a business standpoint, they know that all eyes are on them for the first additional month. And they do this and the whole misinformation about the Italy getting like Dino Crashes. Like if we had the Italy list, I think people would have been happy for the first month.
Yeah,
I
Dino
think that would've been
Crisis,
nice.
Soul Calibur, Ridge Racer 2 for the PSP. Like that'd have been a good, solid, not the greatest, but it'd have been enough.
Exactly. So just a whirlwind of bullshit with the misinformation from the Italy side and then the actual list being so lackluster. But I would not be surprised if we ended up seeing games that were listed for Italy for like next month or something like that. So we'll see how that goes.
I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got an email from Blue Skies. This is from Daryl from St. Louis. He says, "Hello all. You were talking about the Sonic collections last week and it got me thinking. There have been numerous Genesis collections over the years, but always had the same group of games. Where are the best games of that era, Electronic Arts games? I mean, there is yet to be a collection of these games, and none are on the numerous Genesis collections. EA still exists, sort of, so why not? Look at this partial list and have a few have had reboots but no ports. And then the list is Populous, Lakers versus Celtics. Well, we know why that's never happening. Shadow of the Beast, Immortal. Here's one I'm surprised we haven't seen. John Madden Football. Like, you know how they included NHL, what was it, 93?
Yep.
So why not do that for, especially this year with his death happening last year and him being on the cover? Why not put one of those old...
That's a great question.
Yeah, like why not put one of those old Maddens on there or something?
So I was going to say, I think one of the reasons that you haven't seen it is because EA hasn't necessarily shown a great fondness for rehashing their retro catalog, period. But they did put NHL 94 because everybody loves NHL 94. So it's a good question. There's a lot of old EA games I'd love to see.
Yeah, I'm still going. So we've also got Centurion, Power Monger.
Yep.
King's Bounty, Road Rash, Fairy Tale Adventure, Anthony's favorite game, James Pond, Fatal Rewind.
I have told that story, right?
Yes.
That I was scared to death of it? Okay. Just making sure. I know I've brought it up in other cases because it's not a great series, but yeah, it scared shit of me as a kid.
I guarantee you this is a Wombat jam. Might and Magic.
Oh yeah, Might and Magic games are great.
NHL Hockey, they did that. He says go with 94. They did 93, I think, which you can buy straight up on the marketplaces, I believe.
I thought it was 94 that they
Was
did.
it 94? I don't know. I have it.
Because that's like the one that everybody loves.
For me, it's 98. That was I played that on PC at LAN parties. That game was so good. PGA Tour Golf, Rings of Power, Crew Ball, the Lotus series. There we go. That was fun.
Yeah.
Risky Woods, Syndicate.
Syndicate
A man.
is, I don't really want to talk about what has happened with the Syndicate license over the years.
I like that FPS game.
Yeah, but it's not Syndicate.
No, it's not, but I liked it.
Yeah.
A man after my own heart, and he goes for the Strike series, Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, Urban Strike. General Chaos, FIFA. FIFA's FIFA. It's not FIFA anymore. Bill Walsh, College Football. I can probably tell you a lot of reasons they ain't done that one.
Yeah, true story. I guess why they haven't re-released March Madness.
F117 Nightstorm, Haunting starring Poltergeist, Mutant League Football, that hits home. Oh man, that one hurts. Tony La Russa Baseball and Mutant League Hockey. He says, tons of others. By the way, did you know EA released Genesis games through 1998? This would be a killer collection and even add in a few different Madden and NHL games, and many on this list also had sequels. I mean, this list has 31 games, so they could easily make it 50. Why has this not happened?
I mean, it's a great question.
License.
Yeah. Well, you also have to find a company that genuinely cares and thinks they can make money off their retro catalog.
Dude, I feel like people are skimping out on this. Like, go look up a price for one of these games to buy.
Yeah.
You totally can make money off of classic compilations. I don't care what's on it. I bet you that Atari collection sells decent. And it's got fucking Jaguar games on it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know, people love retro shit. They just do.
I just want a remake of Bob.
Nobody wants Bob.
I want
The game's not bad.
Bob!
Why don't you give Vector Man while you're at it?
Now, Vector Man is bad.
I will, no, that game's hard to look at.
And yet we've had that on a collection.
We have.
and
Yep,
Bob's
Sonic's
been on
Ultimate
one.
Genesis collection.
The last time EA collected games like this was on an EA, I want to say it was called EA Replay. Give me a second, I might have it. Yeah, EA Replay on PSP.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it had Bob, Budokan the Martial Spirit, Desert Strike, Return to the Gulf, Haunting starring Poltergeist, Jungle Strike, Mutant League Football, Road Rash 2, Road Rash 3, Syndicate, Ultima 7, The Black Gate, Virtual Pinball,
love it.
Wing Commander, and Wing Commander Secret Missions.
Man,
You're
good
reading
collection.
off an entire list of my childhood right there.
But that's the last time they did it. It's on the PSP. It's like, why the PSP?
PSP.
Those Wing Commander games, I spent more time in those games than I'd like to admit.
PSP. Alright. John tweets in and says, you guys got me thinking of 90s alternative rock bands last week.
Yep.
Who, in your opinion, was the best band from that era to have a couple hit songs? Also, did you buy the CD from one of these groups only to discover that the album was really good?
Also, it may not qualify depending on how he's defining the term rock, but New Miserable Experience by the Gin Blossoms is one of my favorite albums of the 90s.
God damn. Man.
And I bought it because of one song, Hey Jealousy, and the entire album is awesome.
The only story that I can always bring to mind is that if you listen to Sugar Ray on the radio, it is wildly different than buying that CD. That CD is straight up Pantera. It is like super hard.
They had one pop hit and then they moved to like full on pop later on because they got successful off of it.
Yeah,
that's
like,
a very unsuspected.
Fucking
People bought that for I Want to Fly and then were very disappointed in the rest of the album.
See, that's what's funny is like once I found out the rest of the album was like that, I was like, okay, now I'm going to buy it. God, 90s alternative bands, there were so many.
Remember Seven Dust?
Dude, I don't try to remember Seven Dust.
Seven Dust had that song Denial in like every crappy MX versus ATV style game that came out for like 15 years.
Dude, when I booted up a couple games yesterday and hearing the soundtracks rock in, and I'm just like, oh my God, you just took me to an era where I was not quite an adult yet, and it's just weird.
Would Evanescence be one of those alt rock groups from like the 90s?
That was
Or is that
2000s.
too late?
Yeah, they were in the 2000s, but
Yeah.
Okay.
they were definitely a band that were enormous for the time period that they were around in.
Yeah, the 90s was just full of bands. It was full of a lot of like alternative bands trying to make it big, but also a bunch of bands trying to be Nirvana and Pearl Jam. And it just didn't work.
Yep.
I mean,
Like Candlebox.
Oh, Live. Remember Live?
Hey, oh yeah. Live actually was releasing albums all the way up into the early 2000s.
Dude, Presidents of the United States of America still releases albums.
no, I
That
think they're
surprised
done.
me.
I think they're broken up.
Well, I saw a tweet from him the other day saying they were releasing a new album or something, right?
That doesn't. Hold on.
I don't follow them. I mean, literally.
They were, maybe they're back together. Yeah, no, they were 1993 to 98.
Dude
then
played
they were
with one
2002
fucking
to-
string.
2015. So I don't know what they'd be putting out.
One string bass
Oh,
line.
they're reissuing. I think they're reissuing one of their albums.
Gonna get
Speaking of bass lines, Primus.
Dude, he's still around.
I know.
Doing other shit.
Yeah.
The Butthole Surfers.
Oh, The Butthole
Is that a
Surfers
real band,
suck.
Ryan?
Every time you
What?
say,
You
every time you
never
say
heard of the Butthole Surfers?
the name of the band,
Oh,
I
man.
just hear that. Bow, 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 wow, wow, wow.
I fucking hate the Butthole Surfers because they are their biggest hit is a ripoff of Beck's Loser.
Yeah.
Fucking Pepper is just Loser.
What about
It's
Cake?
set up the same.
What about who? Cake?
Cake.
Reluctantly crouched at the starting line.
Engines.
Thumping
in time.
in time.
I remember these things, man. I listened to these bands ages ago, and I don't even remember.
Dude, it's embedded in
I
my...
worked at a music store for 6 years. So.
There you
I'll
go.
do
There you
it.
go. You're knowledgeable with that, see?
Yeah, he has
I,
the endless knowledge of music from every era, and like I can just remember trying to. You know, the first time I heard Creed was in like a
Ugh.
social studies class. Like one of the people in my class brought in a radio while we were doing.
A terrible CD, and you're like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
It's the
And they
greatest
played
thing
it
I've
so
ever
much,
heard.
You just kept listening to it, and eventually you're like, "Yeah, it's okay."
They were like,
It
"Hey, you
wasn't.
should listen. You should listen to this. It'll take you higher."
Yeah. Well, this was before Higher. This was the first
yeah.
album. Holy shit.
When they created their own prison. that
Yeah.
one?
I just remember coming into class and just hearing, hell over here.
Oh,
Settle no goddamn score.
what is this? What is this dollar store fucking Pearl Jam
No, the
shit?
dollar store. The dollar store version of Creed was early Nickelback,
Oh, God.
and then the dime store version of Nickelback was Default.
I don't even
know if
know.
anybody
Default,
remembers
and
Default.
I don't
I'm
know
gonna be
Default.
very happy that I don't.
Wasting My Time was the name of the song, and it was as
Oh
advertised.
no! Oh no!
Wasting my time. Yeah, that's it. They're a Canadian band. I figured you'd know them pretty well.
I thought that was Nickelback.
Nope, they were discovered by Nickelback.
Of course they were. The fucking D. I'm wondering. Let me just see. I want to see the singer. Oh,
Man.
I thought they were Nickelback. It's so bad. They get played on the radio up here because we have to. You know,
Well,
we
yeah,
have-
because they're Canadian. You
Yeah,
don't have very many, so you got to play what you got.
No, we have
Like,
tons. They just
it's like
go,
all
no,
Shania
no,
Twain up
only
there.
safe stuff.
Brian
Ugh.
Adams.
yeah,
Oh, fuck that fucking song. Oh god.
so glad I could
I
bring
mean-
back that memory for you.
Oh man,
Wasting my time.
wasting my
And then
time.
Lifehouse was one of those bands that had the voice like that too, where the guy you could tell was just trying to have a voice like this.
You know what's crazy to me is that, like, there were so many bands trying to follow Nirvana. The Foo Fighters started in '94.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, I'm old. I saw
and
their
most of
first
that
concert.
first album doesn't sound anything like anything Nirvana would have put out.
No, because it was just him.
That's the thing I respected about that first album so much, is it's like it's not just a Nirvana like sound-alike cash-in. Like, it was very original.
Dude, I had to Google '90s bands just so I could remember some of these fucking.
So I just quickly, the one that I don't think really counts because he's, still around, but Beck is one that, like,
Yeah.
if you only hear the hits, there's way more for you there.
Well, the thing about Beck is that I loved his first two albums. After that, it just got too weird for me.
Well, I mean, so there's the first two albums, which is Mellow Gold and Odelay, and they
Yeah.
sound
Those
sort
were
of in the
great
same
albums.
territory. Then Mutations. So here's the thing with the history of that. Mutations wasn't supposed to be a big release. He actually had to sue his label after. He was going to, because everybody knows Mellow Gold, but he actually put out two records like shortly after in the same year, and they were on independent labels. There's Stereopathetic Soul Manure, which is so fucking weird, it's unlistenable, almost. And then Western Harvest
God damn it.
by Moonlight or some shit, and like that's weird too. And then he did a really slow record that was like supposed to be like this independent sort of slow alternative rock album, I guess. And they put it as a major label, and like that was not supposed to be the follow-up. It was supposed to be Midnight Vultures, which is more of kind of what Beck was doing. But then, yeah, he gets into weird stuff like a really sad album, Sea Change, and then he goes back to the sound everybody wants, and then he deviates from it. So I say him because, like, even the 90s stuff, like, listen to Odelay, listen to Mellow Gold, there's a lot more on there that's amazing.
Dude.
Oh god, and what did you say that was oh god when you read a fucking 90s album?
No, I'm just looking at these bands. So here's just some highlights. We have Candlebox,
Yep.
the Cranberries, Third Eye.
Don't diss on the Cranberries. The Cranberries.
No.
are
I'll
great.
just bring it up. Bush,
Bush, yeah.
the Flaming
Yeah.
Lips.
I used to call. I've probably said it on the show before, but the song Machine Head. I used to call that song "Basic Instructions for Living" by Bush.
Pretty much.
Um,
breathe in, breathe out, breathe in,
Yeah,
breathe
breathe
out.
in, breathe out, breathe in,
Bush
breathe out.
Bush had to be called Bush X up here.
You're kidding.
Wow.
Counting Crows. Silver
Oh.
Counting Crows in concert, actually.
Silverchair.
They were really good. Oh, Silverchair.
The Goo
Silverchair was like dollar store Bush, if that's possible.
Goo Goo Dolls. Pavement.
Another band, the Goo Goo Dolls, another band that switched their sound pretty radically.
Yeah. Blind Melon. There's one for you.
Ended
Another
early.
band that, yeah, could have been decent, but their lead singer died.
Faith No More. Third Eye Blind.
Faith No More is so weird after their first like 2 or 3 albums that like I mean, he's an amazing vocalist, but boy, they fucking go places.
How about the Verve?
Oh, the Verve.
That's one of those. I mean, that's Oasis, and that's the third pillar of the fucking British Invasion Part 2.
I want you guys to know that based on my knowledge of music from the 90s, which is very limited, you guys could have been just plugging stuff in from random word generator, and I would have no idea when you guys were talking about something that was real or fake. And I just learned by Googling that Nickelback is a Canadian band, so that's
Yes.
your fault.
Yes.
Nickelback. No. You don't understand. You think you're being punished? Like Ryan was getting at, they have to play a certain amount of Canadian music, and Nickelback is such safe garbage that they play that shit constantly because it's safe rock and roll, and they only are allowed to play safe stuff on radio, so they play that shit all the fucking time because it falls under Canadian, like, what is it called? CanCon rules. It has to have so many people that are Canadian writing and producing and where it was recorded, and it has to hit, like, 4 out of, like, 6 things. And as long as you hit 4 out of 6 things, you'll be played on the radio because they have to. And Nickelback is, so they play that shit all the fucking time, and it's terrible.
That's why we stopped importing things from Canada, because you gave us
I know,
Nickelback.
you have Justin Bieber now. He's your fault. We didn't fucking make him a star. That's fucking Usher and Ellen. Fuck
Usher
both
wants
those
you
people.
wants you to know it's Xbox's birthday.
Fucking.
Yeah, I don't know any of these songs. Like, you could play the song to me, and the best I can do is, yeah, I think I've heard that before. I don't know the title, I don't know the name of the bands or nothing. That's where my musical knowledge lies. I never focus on that stuff.
I'm looking at a list too. You did mention the Flaming Lips. I gotta say, like, that's another band that it's like, if you like some of their stuff, like, there's a ton more of it. Go ahead and dive into that. Depending on the era, there's like newer stuff. There's like a short period in like the 2000s where there's not a lot. Like if you like Yoshimi versus the Pink or Battles of Pink Robots and At War with the Mystics, that's kind of it. There's not much else. This kind of pop psychedelic stuff like that. Like you have the weird sort of independent early stuff, and then you have the newer, more aggressive stuff, and they've kind of tried to go back to the pop psych sound, but it's not really the same. Collective Soul.
Oh God!
Yeah, Collective Soul.
There's an album that's
Is that
way
the
better
Heaven Let
than-
Your Light Shine Down? Is that Collective
Yes.
Soul? Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
You know
They
what?
have a
Whoa! Heaven
That
Let Your Light
there's
Shine Down.
actually an excellent cover of that song by Dolly Parton,
I
and you
can
wouldn't
believe
I'll
that.
look that up.
but it's excellent.
I like their song Happiness, which is heavier. They're not a bad band. It's just that, boy, that song has been overplayed. I see the Spin Doctors here.
What is
Oh, the
what
Spin
do
Doctors.
you? Go ahead.
I always go to Pocket Full of Kryptonite,
Yeah.
which is the name of the album, but like that's the
Man, you know what else is
Um,
depressing is looking at all these bands from the 90s and how many of them are dead.
yeah,
Scott
Jane's
Weiland,
Addiction.
Kurt Cobain.
Garbage.
Yep.
Uh,
Garbage isn't dead, are they?
no, Garbage is still around. I'm
Shirley
sure he had
Manson.
fans.
Do you know anybody
Shirley
else
Manson's
besides
great.
Shirley Manson and Butch Vig?
No,
Is
I
that
mean-
the only two I know?
Yeah, those
That's
are
the only two
that are
I know
important.
too. Yep.
I have a weird one for everybody. Everybody would be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I discovered it through Zero Punctuation back when I used to watch him, and it was so early that he didn't have a theme song, so he would play like licensed music at the end. And I think it was for Mass Effect of all things. The song he used at the end was by a band called Babylon Zoo.
I know who
Who was-
Babylon Zoo is.
They had the fastest selling single in the UK, and everybody hated them almost instantly. I'm not going to tell you the first album's great. The single versions of all their like big songs off that album, and if I say big in a relative manner, all the singles off that album sound better in the single version than they do on the album version. But their second album that came out 98, it's a really good glam rock album, like in the vein of T-Rex, and the label didn't push it and they gave up. And by that, I mean the guy that was kind of in charge of it wrote some other songs, had some played on the radio that exist in like shitty quality on YouTube. But he was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go like produce movies now, and did like a production for indie movies. He was supposed to release a new album finally, and then the pandemic hit, and I wonder if he just like packed it in again.
All right. Oh, that's
That
all.
second album though, fucking Stereo Superstar, is so fucking good. Everybody should listen to that album.
That's all I've got for this week. If you want to shoot us an email, it's podcast, ztgd.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at N4G Podcast. You can follow all of us on Twitter. I'm at ZTGD. Anthony, Complacent Robot, Ryan, Wombat RP, and Jay, Botherside Jay. You can also follow the site at ZTGD Content. Check out Phoenix Down, Yakuza 5. We're getting into the nitty-gritty in there. You can check that out. The new episode is live as of Friday. Also, apologies for this week. I had several people reach out to me because I forgot to upload the RSS feed, so the new episode wasn't live until like Monday or Tuesday. So, whoops. I will make sure to get the RSS feed loaded tomorrow when I load this show. So, there is that. But unless anybody has anything else, that's all I've got. Otherwise, we can get out of here. Peace, bitches.
Alrighty. And it goes something like this.
Epic fail. Welcome to the N4G podcast. Oh, you can... $0.
This is going to be a very interesting episode.
Gather time.
Greetings, programs. I got lost trying to find my way to the secret underground N4G Radio lair.
The Wombat. And
always live being angry.
Killer Wolverine. Play games, not consoles. No fanboys allowed.
And then I killed the dragon. 8.0.
Killed the dragon.